Oh, it started. It's going.
Oh, it's live? All right. I'm sitting here like a schmuck. All
about to
right.
leave.
What's up, guys? We've been trying to go live for the last 20 minutes. All right. Hold on. Let me play.
You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty. Good morning, guys.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
We did it. They can't stop us. So, did you go live on your end, or did I go live on my end? I don't even know what happened.
No, I think it was. I think it just was delayed.
Oh,
Because
okay.
eventually I saw it go live on my side.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning. I'm glad we were able to get this up and running. This is going to be a short show today. I mean, unless you guys continue on without me, but by 2 o'clock, I have a hard stop. But yeah, if viewers on stage is going, I guess we could just let it run.
Yeah, I got to take off right after the price report as well.
Okay. So how's it going, Tux? How you doing, man? What'd you think overall? MoneroCon, Prague.
It's very good. MoneroCon was very good. It was awesome. It was a great. It was a cool trip to take. But it's also a great venue. Parallel Nepolis is an awesome venue to host a conference like that. Met lots of people, lots of cool people in the Monero community in the privacy space. It was really funny meeting people that I know and I follow on Twitter, but I just didn't know their face, didn't know them. Knows that oh, that's who you are moment every single time. But yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's a little. People are saying my sound is fucked up, so I just lowered.
Oh, your sound? I mean, I turned it down a little bit. It sounds.
I think it's more my gain than the volume. So how do I sound right now? Good.
You sound good.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. It takes a lot of energy, right, when you're talking to 100 people a day.
Oh yeah, just back to back.
Yeah, and it's just and then you're trying to do other things as you do it. It's an intense exercise, these conferences. I was going nonstop, man, because I was trying to do the Nodo stuff, tell people about XMR Bazaar, do the Monerotopia show, present the Nodo, emceeing on stage a little bit. And I was trying to do it all. I had a schedule where I'd keep on my phone and then mix that in with just obviously talking to people throughout. And it was just I missed, I think, one moment I screwed up where I didn't get on stage where I was supposed to get on stage. But other than that, I pretty much got everything going. I was very satisfied. I think MoneroCon better than this is I think my favorite MoneroCon so far. Obviously, the first one was epic just for nostalgic reasons. I mean, it was amazing in Denver. More so, I think the party that we had where we rented that house out for everybody. That was amazing. But this MoneroCon, I think, was the best ever. They had a lot of things going right. It was bigger than ever. They worked out all the kinks from being throwing it at that venue the first time. It was just great. They still had the sticker in the window. It's been up for a year. Monero, I think Monero is growing in Prague because of the conference. I think it's definitely having an effect. So
Prague was
really
one of those
exciting.
Prague was one of those early cities where Bitcoin was being used for buying beers, and back in the day, I remember I had a friend that was totally normie, non-crypto, non-whatever, and she was like, "Yeah, I went to Prague and everyone was just buying beers for Bitcoin. Everyone was just using Bitcoin." I was like, "Yeah, it's a good deal."
Well, that location, where the Bitcoin Cafe is, that was the first known place to ever accept Bitcoin.
Oh, nice.
It was the Bitcoin Cafe in Parnelli Polis. And now they currently accept Bitcoin, Litecoin, LN, and Monero. So
Pretty good.
that's pretty awesome that Monero is in the mix there. And just the general vibe. I don't know. I mean, what I'm told is that like some of the people that run Parnelli Polis are like hardcore BTC maxis that are kind of not really in love with the fact that Monero is taking hold there. And then but the majority are, pro Monero, and then there's those that are like really really gung ho on Monero. So it's like a mixed group of cypherpunks. Majority is all about Monero, but there are some BTC maxis among them that I think don't really love the fact that MoneroCon has grown so much in Parnelli Polis.
I'm sure. I mean, there'll always be those kinds of people. But I think anyone who like gets into the Monero community like quickly realizes, oh yeah, it's like these original Bitcoin hardcore cypherpunks. It's like the OGs and the people who really care about the technology. So
Yeah,
It really is just a matter of time before Bitcoiners that like Monero are outnumbered by the maxis.
Are outnumbered by, what are you saying, Bawdy?
So, like in Bitcoin, for a long time, it seemed like most of the people in Bitcoin were either maxis or maximalish, and if they entertained Monero, it was kind of like, yeah, but it's a shitcoin, whatever. And that seemed to be the majority for a long time, just anecdotally. But I see the trends shifting, and it seems to me just a matter of time before the Bitcoin and Monero people outnumber the Bitcoin only people.
Yeah, and and those the people that are the kind of the early adopters that are moving from Bitcoin to Monero are all the smartest Bitcoiners. They're all like the original cypherpunk dudes. They're like that sector, the people that really like understood the tech originally. Like the ones that got Bitcoin the earliest are the ones that are open to Monero. I think it's fair to say. Obviously, maybe there's some that are, but I think the vast majority of those people that were early in Bitcoin that really understood what Bitcoin was, are totally open and now adopting Monero. So very exciting to see. Yeah, tons of stuff. Yeah, we have the Nodo live there. I got it on me right now, actually. So I brought them home with me. One I shipped back to Europe, where we have our developer who's working on the user interface. It was great. We got a ton of good feedback. We still have, there's still work to do. We're saying that they'll ship within 8 to 10 weeks from now. That's more of a manufacturing issue than, anything on the development side. I thought we were a little bit further along on the dev side. Like, obviously the thing works. It is plug and play. The only thing is Wi-Fi isn't up yet, so I had a little issue trying to get it going there. I needed to get a hardwire to plug in. But in terms of hardwire, plug in, put the power on, it is literally plug and play, and it's up and running. I mean, it's got a sync, but it goes. But there are some little things that need to be tweaked in the design, in the user interface, just little glitches, normal things that you would expect to find in a hardware product. So now that I have it in my hands, I could be the test dummy. I'm not particularly good with using technology, as most people know, so I think I'm like the perfect test case. And this was built with somebody like me in mind, right? Somebody who's not super techy. I just want to be able to very easily plug this thing in, get a node up and running, and be able to connect my Cake wallet to it, right, instantly, and have it run as my node. So it will in fact be that. Right now it is a plug and play, easily up and running as a node. The connecting the Cake wallet or other wallet to the Nodo right now, we realized there's some issue that we're having, but nothing that can't be fixed. Very easy fix. But so like right now when I'm scanning this, so scanning that with my Cake wallet should pretty much instantly add it as a node, as my node. But we're having a technical issue with that. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the thing is, it's humming along. It's humming along. It's beautiful. We got the news feed on here. So it's just gonna scroll and show the latest Monero news. I'm probably gonna, once I have it on Wi-Fi, I'll hang it up on my wall. I mean, you're gonna, oh, I can't see that there, but I'll put it on this side. You're gonna see a power cord, but it is, I think it's a pretty cool concept to have it hanging. Otherwise, just have it sitting on your desk. But yeah, very excited about the Noto. Tux, did you get to check it out at all?
I did check it out while I was there. Super cool device, really high quality, beautiful screen. Nice little package for what you get.
I'm glad we brought it. I got it over there. It was a real hustle. Like I said, it was like 95%. So I almost didn't bring it, but I'm really glad I did because people got to look at it. A lot of really smart people got to look at it, and the end result was they were impressed. I think some people came into it thinking we used like off the shelf hardware and just put a case on it, but that's not the case at all. Actually, one of the guys, I don't even know his name. He was kind of like the biggest critic originally. He ended up liking it quite a lot. With unbeknownst to me, when I was running around, he took one and opened it up and started looking at so all these Monero, like German Monero hackers who are like around the Noto looking at it.
I mean, if I had enough time, I would.
And they told me they're like no, but they're like it's good. I was like, all right. So don't trust me, but trust.
I want to make sure there's no hardware backdoors.
Yeah, they wanted to check out, like look at it, see if it was actually like custom fabricated, all that stuff. But they were impressed, so that's good to hear. I mean, I've been trusting in my people that have been working on this, right? I'm not tech savvy enough to know if what we're building here actually matches the specs and whatnot. But
well, it's cool to see the fruits of what's been worked on for like quite a long time now come out. And
yeah. And so very excited with that. What else? Obviously XMR Bazaar. Let me bring that up real quick. Yeah, Tux, have you had a chance to check in on XMR Bazaar?
Oh, yep, I definitely have.
Yeah, we're getting a ton of listings. We've been putting up a lot of business listings. So in addition to using it to just, put up a listing like selling my motorcycle, whatever it may be, we have business listings as well. So this, kind of similar to what Monerica does and some of these other aggregators. So these are all the places, that have been listed thus far that we know of that accept Monero, whether online or physical. You could search by
I see
city.
new players. I see existing ones like Silent
So
Link.
Oh wait, how do you spell? Do we have? Oh, let's see. What can we search by? Like Germany? Is there anything? No, nothing.
Do New York. I think yours shows up in New York.
Or let's see, United States. Oh, yeah, we have this guy, United States. Thought we had some Germany ones. Oh, I know we have like Lebanon, right?
Yeah, the battery.
Yeah, we have the battery guy, and then he got the pizza shop in his neighborhood to start accepting Monero. I gotta tell you, these
incredible.
These pizzas. I might try to stop in Lebanon just to go hang out.
Ship one to New York, right?
Yeah, I'm going to like Sicily at some point. Maybe I could.
There you go.
Stop
just
over.
Drop by.
Yeah,
Unprecedented moment buying pizza from Monero. You've seen pizza.
I would love to see Lebanon. I don't know what the situation is on the ground there right now as somebody to just kind of visit. And
yeah, you probably
sure,
need pizza.
Beautiful place. So that's really cool. So there's a way to show it in map form. I don't know why I can't find the map. I think it might even just be Monero /map. Is that? Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. So I don't know why he doesn't have a link to the map coming up, but yeah, here's the in a map form. So we do. Yeah, we got 2 in Lebanon. What do we got here? Yeah, something in. Is this the ones in Prague? Yeah, I think these are the ones in Monero standing sign. Oh, somebody put up their 3D printing. I think that was from MoneroCon, what they were selling at MoneroCon.
Oh yeah, I saw those at the Monero table.
Yeah. I like this guy's listing. He does 3D printing, like custom, and he'll like try to fix, you know, a little broken part that you have on any random thing. You send him information on it, film it, take pictures, whatever, take some measurements, and he'll try to make the custom piece that you need. I think that's pretty cool. That's a nice little service for Monero. 1XMR 171 right now, holding strong. Obviously, we'll get into that with Bawdy. But yeah, people, XMR Bazaar is up. It's running. It is still password protected, but super easy. Username beta password tester. If you haven't already, please consider jumping on there, making an account. It's super easy to do so. Make a profile. You can maintain your anonymity, but make a profile. I mean, this is how we, you know, we're watching the Monero circular economy get built live here. So we have the tool now. The only way it happens is if we actually start engaging with it. I recommend, if you're interested, jumping in the Matrix chat. Tux, if you could put the link to the Matrix chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's very active. It's people that are on posting. We have a troll box on the site too, actually, which is really cool. It's actually a great feature. Yeah, so as soon as you jump on, you can be active in the Monero circular economy. Just start talking about things. Start talking in there about stuff you want to buy or services you have to offer. The only way this works is if we all start communicating with each other, engaging with each other, figuring out what each other can offer in terms of goods and services. And yeah, it's a communication problem more than anything else. All the tech exists. Monero exists. We could zap it anywhere in the world, essentially for free, completely private. Now we just need to find each other and start paying each other to live off of it. Simple as that. And I think XMR Bazaar is built pretty well to do so. We'll be iterating it. All feedback is greatly encouraged, and we'll try to turn it into a real utility. But yeah, definitely wanted to bring that up because it's very exciting to see that it's working. Probably try to take the password and stuff off maybe by like Monday, Tuesday, because the next thing I want to bring up is we are going to PorcFest. We're going to PorcFest, or I'm going. I'll be there, and I rented.
Oops. Looks like
Uh-oh.
we ran into some technical difficulties.
StreamYard's still trying to find that bandwidth.
Yeah, for real. I think Doug left. Either he got kicked or he accidentally closed his tab or his computer crashed.
Panic. Colonel Panic.
Well, I guess. Oh, is that him? There he is.
Sorry about
There we
that.
go.
Oh my god, I just accidentally logged myself out here. Hold on, let me bring up where did I leave you guys? Let me bring up PorcFest. All right, PorcFest. Let me get it up there. Boom. All right, so we're going to PorcFest. Reason I bring it up in combination with XMR Bazaar, because part of the mission here, I've been to PorcFest a couple times. It's always great. I set up my little coffee stand. I kind of do it covertly. I rented a stall once, but I didn't even end up really using it. It was cool. Chill came. We tried to turn it into a Monero tent, but our spot wasn't that good. It was kind of too far away. And I ended up just setting up my little coffee stand in the most ideal place because I just asked people like, hey, you mind if I set up my stand in your stall? And people usually don't care. And I just plug in my thing. But this year we're getting a stall. We're getting our own stand. And so we'll have our own Monero tent village center hub. I think in PorcFest they call them hubs. So we'll officially list it as a hub. We'll put it on the official PorcFest map. I don't know if people can see there in this map how well you could see, but the night owl area, that's kind of like, that's the hot spot, particularly all the way to the right side, that first row. So where it starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it goes all the way down. These are like, this is like the really active area, the Agora. It used to be called the Agora. I guess it's still, well, I don't know. It's also where, you know, the party never ends. But this is where all the vendors are set up. So we're going to be stall 6, which is super strategically located. And it's going to be the
road.
Yeah, right by the Silk Road. It's going to be the Monero hub. I met a dude at MoneroCon who's flying in just for it to come to PorcFest, and he saw me talking about it and then asking for help, and he'll be there. He's going to be helping out. Others are helping out. We started a Telegram group for PorcFest, Monero PorcFest people. We'll try to share that here. Tux, if you could find that and throw that in the chat. So anybody that's going to PorcFest that's watching this show, I assume you're into Monero, please join that Telegram chat and reach out if you're willing to help us out. We just want to...
It's in the description.
What's that?
That link is in the description right now.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So yeah, jump in that Telegram if you're going to PorcFest and you're into Monero. You could help us, you know, make the hub a success. What I want to do there is we'll be doing the coffee like we always do. So selling coffee for Monero. I want to do like a daily workshop. You know, like Monero 101, how to obtain Monero, where to spend Monero, very simple, what is Monero, just all the real basic stuff if you're trying to onboard somebody to Monero, how to use Monero as a merchant, and just kind of do it live there as a workshop, maybe every day at like 1 o'clock or something. So we'll set that up. We'll put that on the schedule. And then additionally, I'm gonna print out a very large version of this map, and we'll go around, and any of the vendors there that are already accepting Monero, we'll mark them on the map. So we'll have a big kind of info map there where people can see all the vendors that are currently accepting Monero at PorcFest. And additionally, I'll tie that in with XMR Bazaar. So maybe we'll add them to XMR Bazaar's vendors, or at least tell them that it exists and try to get them to start creating accounts. But it should be cool. There's thousands of people that go, and now Monero will have a hub there and a way to, you know, for people to come hang out that are into Monero, to come learn about Monero. And the real mission will be onboarding people, onboarding vendors to Monero, and building out the Monero circular economy. That's going to be the focus mission of our stall at PorcFest. So definitely reach out to us if you're going. We could use your help, even just hanging out there, just to keep it busy. Like, so when people come by, there's somebody to talk to. You know, it's not like hard work. It's fun work. So yeah, definitely reach out if you guys are going to be at PorcFest. Yeah, what else? Oh, I do want to bring up Copa Monero. So Tux, were you able to watch it at all?
Unfortunately not. I had other obligations at the time.
All right, it was good. It was good. It was the fact that we tried to, you know, run it from MoneroCon, and there was a lot of coordination, but we got it up and running. Alessandro did an amazing job. Actually, Andres did a great job. He started announcing as well. But there's some tweaking we need to do. We got to fix the quality a little bit. We'll do that. We have the Kuno going. Guys, please consider donating to this Kuno. Right now, we're just funding it. I'm just funding it through basically the Monerotopia conference. So, you know, we already kind of, you know, that's not a big money maker when I throw Monerotopia, and now I've added to the budget Copa Monero, which is like costing us like 10 grand, but I think well worth it. And a part of that is going towards the prize. And I want to try to increase the prize, because right now the prize is at 10 XMR. I want to get it up to 50 XMR, so the winning team takes home 50 XMR. So please consider donating to this Kuno. Like PorcFest, for example, that's going to cost me like hundreds and hundreds. I rented the thing. It's $600 a stall. I'm printing out all these accepted here stickers. That's like another $400. I was going to do like a mini Kuno for that, but I'm not. Instead, I'm asking people, anybody that's considered donating to that, which are like hard costs for PorcFest. I'll eat all that. I'll eat it. I've eaten it in the past. I don't mind. But I asked, if you'd want to have donated to that, donate to this Kuno instead, the Copa Monero Kuno. I really want to get this going. By the end of this, when we walk away, there'll be a winning team that walks away with 50 XMR. That's going to mean a lot to them. That's going to help grow Monero in their community. They're going to walk away with a generator, I think, because I think at some point we're going to try to get them a generator for the next game. And we may try to get them a Starlink. We'll see. They're also going to walk away with an improved field. They're putting money towards improving their field. So I think this is a great effort, idea, campaign for growing Monero in these communities that are involved in a fun way through a medium that they're already accustomed to, right? Which is football. So you may not be a big soccer fan or something. Actually, it is the one sport I do enjoy watching. But even if you're not, consider donating to this. I think it's very productive. I don't know, guys. Any thoughts on this? On Copa Monero? Tux.
I think it's a cool idea. I think it's a great way to honor our comrades, our friends in Argentina that started a whole thing down there. I think it's a great initiative, and hope to see good things come of it. Hope to see it expand further.
Awesome.
It's a nice trophy.
Yeah, the trophy should be nice. I guess you guys can check out the last game. It went on for hours and hours. There was 2 of them. I should bring that up. We have, I think so. Oh, Cake played Xano. Hold on. Cake played Xano, and they tied, I believe, right? Cake played Xano, and they tied. Let me scroll down here. Did he put scores? No, he didn't put the scores in yet. But Cake played Xano, and they tied, and then Basic Swap played Firo, and I believe Firo won. So if you're interested in gambling on these games, unassociated with us, but there are ways to do that. Sigmonero is a peer-to-peer gambling website where they've added Copa Monero. So if you're interested, maybe you could check out the last 2 games. That might give you some info on how you might want to gamble moving forward. And yeah, guys, we'll just keep it growing from here. The next game is, when is the next game? I think it's July. Oh, what do we have here? The next game is July 13th. So we'll probably have Alessandro on again before then. We'll try to make some improvements. So by that next game in July 13th, we'll be running even more smooth than it already is. But yeah, that's all I got for intro. I just wanted to get those things out there. I think it's all important things to note. Bawdy, if you want to take it away with Price Report, it's all yours, man.
Right on. Well, let's see here. I don't know if I'm sharing my screen.
Oh, I'll run the segment.
And now for the Monerotopia Price Report segment.
All right.
All right.
Hopefully, I got my screen sharing figured out here.
Looking good.
And for those of you on the live stream, make sure to smash that like button, just in case you might have forgotten. If you're not on NewPipe or one of the alternative YouTube front ends, but if you're actually here on YouTube, smash that like button for us. Let's see. Also, if you're watching this, make sure that you've selected 1080p on your YouTube, because oftentimes these charts won't present very well if you're not on the highest resolution, and YouTube will downgrade you if they don't have bandwidth. So yeah, here we are. We're looking at the Monero's price, still hanging out at the 170 area. I had said last week, we talked a little bit more extensively about wave magic and what it represents. And one thing I had expected was that these blue lines here, that this area would potentially pose some resistance, and that we might take a little bit of a pause on the uptrend here. And that seems to be kind of what's happened. It looks like cryptocurrency in general has pulled back a little bit. So Monero has been affected by that. But basically, we are on the high side now of the past couple years of trend. So, I mean, we've just been oscillating, just up, down, up, down, up, down. We're at this point here. Any further, my thinking is that any further positivity in crypto in general should definitely spell positivity for the Monero price. I think the delisting was, I mean, we know we know what it was. We know that these guys are planning stuff. We know that they have done everything they can to cap Monero's price whenever the breakout of other currencies happen, other cryptos happen. They did it in August of 2022. That was a very clear thing. We won't go back and talk about that. But at any rate, I like where things are at here in terms of price. I like that things have taken a bit of a pause here. Generally speaking, you want price to take pauses from time to time. You want them to take little pullbacks. I'm not saying necessarily the pullback is coming here, but I am saying that you don't want to just go straight up to the moon, God candles, right? That's the kind of thing that that blow off tops and then big pullbacks, long pullbacks are made of. What you really want is nice steady action to the upside, occasional pauses, occasional resistance. That generally shows you that you've got a more organic market than just when you get these crazy scam pumps to the upside. Usually those scam pumps are associated with also nefarious things happening in the background. So yeah, it's happening right now. Really stoked about Monero coming back to its level. Really happy about the theory lining up with what we're seeing in reality now, or maybe I should say reality lining up with the theory that we had developed for quite some time. Looking at the Bitcoin to XMR ratio, we are finally getting towards this very long-term underside. So you can see this right here. Those are very long-term standard deviations, and we're kind of touching that. Typically speaking, in a classic sense, the way that I interpret this wave magic is that this right here would also be a bit of resistance. I'm not saying that things are going to come back to the downside. I'm just saying that this is a place to expect a little bit of resistance on the XMR BTC ratio. We also have the XMR ETH ratio, and this thing actually surprised me. I wasn't fully expecting XMR to make such a violent recovery against Ethereum. So yeah, we are coming up again against these lower standard deviation bands. I think that's probably a pretty good target to shoot for, and then I would expect some resistance. Now, one thing that would be really powerful, and I'm not predicting this, I'm not necessarily anticipating this, but one thing that would be really powerful is to actually shoot above these lines and then to hold them as support for a period of time, and then try to make our way up to a higher level. Whether that happens, you know, that could just be that could just be me emotionally wanting to see more. But it could happen. Typically speaking, these bands would act as some kind of resistance. Typically, since these are already curled down, you know, they could be pretty heavily capping. But given the nature of the way in which price was forced to this downside, you know, with the relative performance, right, hitting Monero with the delisting, and then getting all that stock market money and hype into Bitcoin, and then, you know, coming into Ethereum at some point here. Gary Gensler said, I believe he said that they're going to get that ETH ETF approved before the end of the summer. So I would assume by September. We'll talk about maybe a little bit more about that in a second. Today, I actually wanted to look at macro more than anything. I pulled some charts together, some charts you guys probably haven't seen yet. Let's see, nothing here with the price divergences. Yeah, even Poloniex is behaving themselves. Yeah, I guess that's about all for Monero price. There's not too much to talk about other than continued strong performance. We got that resistance kind of where we expected it would happen. Hopefully this thing will chop sideways for a little bit, establish a nice baseline, and then start making its way up here to the standard deviations. In a longer term sense, obviously we really want to try and see this big pleb line here from 2017. Wow, 7 years ago. Would that be 7 years? No, that'd be 8 years. Jesus, I'm still in 2023. Yeah, from 8 years ago, we would love to get back to the underside of that line. and then at some point maybe even break back into it. That would be a crazy pattern, guys. Like if we saw this thing come back up here, get into this area, and then break to the upside, that would be a crazy, insane pattern. And it will tell you, like, it's a sign of just how fraudulent cryptocurrency markets really are. But, markets are fraud. So we've talked about this often. Markets are fraud. You just have to know that when you're getting into the game. Don't expect that things will do in a price sense what their fundamentals say that they're going to do. Probably they'll do it over long periods of time. But even that can't be guaranteed, right? Like that's another thing. Like that's another good thing that separates us from the Bitcoin community. You see, the Bitcoin community, they think that Bitcoin is guaranteed. Some of them are being smart and pushing back against that because they're realizing that it's not guaranteed. It's not a foregone conclusion. And neither is Monero a foregone conclusion. So just keep that in your mind, right? Like the victory isn't here. We haven't won. And it's not guaranteed that we're going to win, right? So do the things that need to be done. Take part in the ecosystems that you need to take part in to help make this thing a reality. Okay, with off of the preacher box here, let's take a quick look at the rest of the crypto market, and then we're going to talk about some macro stuff. So we'll take a look at Big Daddy Coin. He's an abusive father, but okay, whatever. Bitcoin has pulled back this past week, not terribly so. I mean, what are we looking at? 66,000. I mean, can you really complain about that if you hold Bitcoin? I don't think so. Yeah, this is now turning into a fairly long pattern. I see this so often with Bitcoin now. You get these kind of like lines are broken and then it breaks it, but it's like, we're not really going to go off to the races yet. Yeah, I see that kind of often in Bitcoin. However, this pattern right here, this sort of longer term developing pattern, right? This triangle, it's kind of a rising triangle with a little bit of downslope there. Whatever, it doesn't matter. This thing probably could just trend sideways for a little bit before it actually maybe breaks to the upside, or it could break down and then do one of those kind of fake outs. So when it comes to the Bitcoin price, you're not going to be able to just look at the technical analysis here and understand where this thing is going to go when the time comes. We're going to have to look at other stuff too, right? Which is again why we look at technical analysis, but we try and integrate and we talk about that macro. We talk about the fundamentals and the broader hype cycle and everything else, the leverage, liquidity that's happening in the broader market. So yeah, Bitcoin is probably going to be in a holding pattern for a period of time, is what it looks like to me. We don't see anything here with the Z-scores. Again, Z-scores being how is an asset performing relative to its own moving average. In this case, we're looking at the 100-day moving average. Monero still on the up and up here. This is definitely, I mean, from a Z-score perspective, I would look at this and I would say Monero's, it's not, it's a bit toppy, right? I would look at this and say it's looking slightly toppy. Just from the technical perspective on the Z-scores, right? Because we could go back here for a period of time. In fact, maybe what we can do, maybe we can mute some of these guys so you can see Monero a little bit better. And there's nothing else really happening with the other cryptos out there, so there's actually no reason to look at them. I mean, I'm sure there's a few cryptos out there performing. I don't keep track necessarily of the top 100 or whatever. We can forget about these arrows for just these arrows are not relevant. These arrows are currently not relevant for looking at this XMR chart. Yeah, so you can look back at the history of Monero's 100-day moving average here, and we're basically coming up into that zone where it's like, yeah, this is about as far as you can go. Here's something I could show you. So the way that these Z-scores perform, even though this looks like a dropping peak, you would say, oh, the price must be doing this. That's actually not what's happening here. The price is doing this. I know it's kind of weird. You just have to overlay. It's like an RSI. It's like when you overlay an RSI and it's kind of like the peaks are dropping, but the price is still going up. That's kind of what's happening here. So again, Z-scores, like you have to wrap your head around what they are, and then you have to become familiar with what they are. But anyways, what I'm saying is that this isn't a top signal right here. I'm just saying that in terms of the momentum, the strength of the momentum that we've had, this is looking like it's running out of momentum steam just from a Z-score perspective. But that doesn't mean the top is in, right? Go much higher. In fact, we could actually go to 200, 250 pretty easily, and this chart wouldn't be doing crazy things to the upside. So anyways, kind of a diversion there talking about that. Let's take a look at, I guess we could look at Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, sure. Still kind of in this big, broad up channel. Maybe we can even go to the weekly on this one. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect this to last forever. I don't expect Bitcoin to keep this up channel forever, especially once that Ethereum ETF gets approved. I do expect a reversal. I do expect an altcoin run at that point. Maybe it won't be a very strong altcoin run. I don't know. It probably depends on what the macro situation, the liquidity looks like. It probably depends on a few other things. So right now we're looking at the Ethereum versus BTC chart. This actually is looking strong. So let's go to the weekly, or maybe the weekly is too long. Let's go to the 2-day chart. Yeah, okay. That way we can get a bit of a broader picture of what's happening. So obviously this right here was the bull market, right? 2021. Ethereum BTC kind of hung on for a long time and has been slowly bleeding out. And then right now we're kind of in this sort of downward wedge pattern. Downward wedges like this, you would typically expect this to break to the upside, and that's definitely what I expect to happen. Things are bumping up against here, found that resistance against the lower standard deviation bands, but if and when this thing breaks out here and breaks out of those lower standard deviation bands, that's where I expect this thing to start performing. At some point, and in terms of just wave magic analysis, at some point, at a minimum, Ethereum BTC needs to come visit this area up here. For, again, technical analysis, wave magic analysis kind of standpoint here. These are the upper standard deviation bands. You typically don't just fall out of that without making some new visit to the upside here. So I do expect that's going to happen. But yeah, that's still, I guess, a ways away, at least a few weeks away. Gensler said that they're not going to. He didn't say they're not going, but he said they're going to approve the ETF and get it listed before the end of summer, right? Which indicates that they're not going to do it right now. It's probably not going to happen in the next week or so. Okay, but enough about Ethereum and surveillance coins. Why don't we talk about surveillance macro? So we had some new numbers come out. We had the inflation numbers come out, the CPI. CPI actually came down, believe it or not. A little bit of drop there from 0.4 to CPI in white came down from like 0.4 to 0.3. And then the core inflation also came down. This is a good indication here that the Fed is going to eventually lower rates. Not going to happen yet. I unfortunately listened to Jay Powell speak, if you can call it that. It's more like drolling on about, I don't know, being data driven and concerned about the American people. Always good to throw that in there, the American people. Okay, so yeah, we got the CPI coming down. I guess that's good. That's also like, I mean, that's good, but to me, when they start lowering these rates, I'm actually like, everyone's going to be bullish for a moment. They're going to lower rates and probably everything's going to pump. How much you want to bet they do that right around the election? I don't know. I don't care. They're going to lower rates. Probably things will pump, but that will probably be, to me, when they start lowering rates, that's a signal of the same pattern that we saw every other time in the last crashes of the last like 20 or 30 years. They start lowering rates, the rest of the rates come down, and that's a sign after you flat top that tail risk event is on the way. Same thing in 2000. Like this has just been the pattern, right? That's been the pattern. And then the other thing that we'll be looking for is for the yield curve inversion shown in red here to start spiking up violently. That will be a sign for us. In a more in a much more broad sense, I wanted to talk today a little bit. I put some numbers together because everyone's like, oh, the interest is getting out of control on the debt and we can't service the interest and everything's about to go bankrupt and they're going to reorganize the United States and probably those 50,000 sealed indictments are going to finally, the Trump will unseal them in his second term, whatever. What I wanted to do was look at it for myself to see where's our debt to GDP. What is our interest? Like, what is the payment on the interest of the debt versus how much the Federal Reserve is spending? So let's just take this from actually, let's go from debt GDP. So debt to GDP is something that I think everyone should have a pretty good handle on. What's the total federal debt divided by the gross domestic product of the United States? This only goes back to 1966 because I guess when you look up Fred, it's right here, Fred. That's what the Federal Reserve has data for on the Federal Reserve website. It goes back farther than this. The Federal Reserve website does not go back farther than this. Obviously, the debt to GDP ratio does go back farther than this. I don't know why they don't have all the data here. I don't know why the Fed doesn't include all that data. That's kind of annoying if you ask me. But during World War II, we did have more debt than GDP. And right now you can see with COVID things, crap, I'm not supposed to say that word. I'm sorry. Sorry, Doug. This is probably my fault. If you're shadow banned on YouTube, this is my fault. All right. Anyways, yeah, so we spiked up here with that thing that happened a few years ago that we're not supposed to talk about. And then it has kind of come back down, but man, it's still really high. The only time it's been this high was back in World War II. So things are like really, really high here. And it doesn't seem to be coming down. So that's not a good sign, but it's not historically unprecedented. It's just that we were in a global war for the control of the world, a decade ago, or a century ago. Yeah, so things are still really high here. One thing that I thought was interesting, I guess I don't have it here. Interest divided by GDP. All right, well, I'll pull it up in a second if I can do it. Okay, so the next thing we have is the federal expenditures. Oh, this is the one I wanted to show you guys. Federal expenditures divided by GDP, right? So this tells you how much of your money is the federal government spending via taxation and inflation. That's what this chart tells you. And during that thing that happened a few years ago that we're not supposed to talk about, this shit went up that the federal government was spending almost half of everything that the United States produced. How fucked up is that? Man, that is so messed up. Came back down, right? Spiky, came back down. But I mean, look at this. Things are still, this is 1/4. 1/4 of everything that the United States does goes to the psychopathic, criminal, evil war machine. And just general beast system that exists as the United States government. Things are like way, way up. Like, okay, yeah, we spiked up there. Oh, and notice this was also like peak inflation, right? These areas right here, that was pretty high inflation. This came down, I think, probably because of the tech boom of the 2 decades that happened preceding the change of the millennia. And then we had obviously the 2008 bubble. And then things are sitting here right now. I would expect any tail risk event, if things crash, I would expect this thing to pump back up. And I mean, obviously, like that's the direction. Of course, that's what they want to do, right? They want to take more of your money and they want to find more and more clever ways of hiding it. So it's, again, we are historically high. And notice this chart goes all the way back to 1947, right? So this chart goes back quite a long way. The government is taking more than they've ever taken before from the American people. Let's see. Okay, let's take a look at the interest, because that's kind of where we started out here. Is the interest getting out of control? Is it running away from us? Are we going to be able to the classic proverbial we? Okay, is the interest running away from them? Is the interest on the federal debt running away from the government? Not really. In terms of, at least not in terms of federal expenditures, right? That's pretty crazy though, if you think about it. Federal expenditures have been sky high. So for it to have not overtaken the interest yet, in other words, to go down, that is interesting. You can notice though, it is going up. Like the part of the budget that the federal government is spending that services the interest is definitely getting pretty high. Or the interest is consuming more and more of that. Perhaps a more relevant chart though is the interest to the GDP. How much of the total productivity of the United States is only spent on servicing interest to central bankers that printed the money from nothing? Right now, that's about 3.7% of the productive capacity of the United States is spent servicing the debt, which I guess isn't too bad, considering that it used to be 5% back in the 80s. But you'll notice that's a massive spike here, right? It's not unprecedented. But it is quite the spike. We are definitely getting into that inflation territory, into that problematic territory, that place where you start raising an eyebrow. So obviously this is not good, especially after 2 decades of being relatively low. So yeah, that's that wouldn't be. Hang on. Excuse me. Sorry. That wouldn't be like, we're not in the territory here where you're like, okay, we're about to go bankrupt and belly up, right? So again, this is why I like to look at the numbers myself. This is why I like to put little charts together and see how things are performing. Because, it is possible that one day, maybe it is possible that we see this thing spike up and then go way the hell up there, right? Maybe we see that happening at some point. And we say, hey, this could actually be a real default scenario of the federal government, or a hyperinflation scenario to avoid default. But that's why it's important to take a look at numbers for yourself, to think about it, like to game it out, to say, okay, well, what do we need to look at? And I'm sure there's other ways of looking at this as well. This would just be like kind of a first quick look. I thought you guys might be interested in this kind of thing. Maybe this could, I haven't really looked at it hardcore enough to say whether this could be leading indicators of a tail risk event, because obviously, what do we want on the price report? You want me to tell you what's about to happen so you can make some moves and make some money. But this is a broad picture kind of thing. This is more of like a social thing. Where is the United States in terms of debt, in terms of interest on the debt, in terms of GDP, in terms of what the government's taking from everyone? So I thought it was interesting. Hopefully that should be enough for these charts here. But you can see the numbers here if you wanted to pull these charts up for yourself, right? You can look at these symbols that I've got pulled up here and pull them up for yourself. Hopefully you guys like that. Let's take a look at the normie macro stuff. Dollar index has actually jumped out of this downtrending, this downsloping line. That was kind of what I was expecting, more like back here. Oh, okay, so it's happening now. Currency markets tend to move slowly. So, dollar index has kind of put the kibosh a little bit on the gold performance. Gold's still kind of pulling back. I might even want to try and call that a head and shoulders pattern on gold here. That does look a little bit like a head and shoulders pattern. So hypothetically, if it is, and we wanted to be doing dumb pleb line kind of things, we would say that we would expect gold to test this $2,100 area, which would be kind of like the previous all-time high, or the previous like breakout point, right? So in a longer sense, right here, that wouldn't be that wouldn't be too crazy to think, right? That actually would not be too crazy of a scenario to expect to happen. Let's turn off the wave magic. There we go. That wouldn't be too crazy of a scenario to expect to happen, to have some pullback here to the previous breakout line. That is kind of how charts tend to behave. So, I'm not saying, right? I'm not saying that it has to happen again. Chart patterns are always mildly dubious. So, but again, this thing might need some more pullback, especially if we consider that the dollar index might have some strength to show there. One thing I did notice is that the U.S. liquidity situation is slowly dropping a little bit. So, right, again, this is the M2 money supply and the Federal Reserve balance sheet. And of course, this makes sense because the Federal Reserve balance sheet, they have continued to sell it off. In fact, so this obviously was the 2020 events that we can't say the name of. And that thing, we're basically back to that first pump. And then this was like the secondary pump here in 2021, where they really, really just went for it, right? Things have come back, which is crazy because the stock markets are still at all-time highs. So, that's interesting there. Last, we'll talk about the stock market really quick because it did put on all-time highs. Let's go to the future because I have them drawn up slightly differently. At this moment, Jesus, that's a green candle. Wow. Okay, that is a big green dildo right there for the Nasdaq. At this moment, I do expect the Nasdaq to try and shoot for these purple bands up here. That just tends to be where stock markets historically like to trend. If we go back, you can just see that, right? The stock market likes to get in these purple bands and then just trend up inside these purple bands. I mean, this is a parabolic chart. Like, I mean, it's a parabolic chart. It's funny because even though it's parabolic, they keep it like very steadily parabolic, whereas crypto is parabolic, but in these crazy violent moves to the upside and then to the downside. NASDAQ and S&P are performing. S&P, as you can see, has already made it into these purple bands. I guess without any tail risk, there's probably no reason to think that this shouldn't continue. That doesn't mean that it's going to like keep going up next week. It just means that, generally speaking, when in doubt in the stock market, you stay in the stock market, right? Like, rule number one of the stock market is you stay in the stock market, and you talk about staying in the stock market. So it's kind of like different to Fight Club, kind of like if you know what I mean. That's about all we got here for you today on the price report. Things still continue to look relatively, for at least for the stock market, look relatively bullish. Crypto probably has some sideways action here to continue. This makes sense to me. Probably waiting for that Ethereum ETF. So crypto in a larger holding pattern. Monero also experiencing some resistance, but with optimism in the chart here after maybe hanging out here at this level for a little bit. So with that, I'll hand it back to Doug.
All right, Bawdy, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you.
As always, buddy.
Camera up here. It has been the Monero price has been exciting. That's for sure.
It's been spicy.
Yeah. I like when I go to like one of the whatever CoinGecko or whatever and filter by 7-day. Monero is like the top coin that pops up.
Yeah, we've
It's
been at
nice.
the top performers for a while. They actually show us. They actually filter us at the top. They don't remove us.
Yeah, now they show us.
They've done that. Like, that was on Coin Market Cap. I shouldn't give them any attention, but they were doing that for a while. Like Monero would be a top performing coin, and then they just somehow we would never show up there.
No mention.
Yeah.
And we're moving up. We're moving up in the ranks. Obviously, we know like a lot of the ranking thing is bullshit too. But we're at 34 right now on CoinGecko, climbing back up slowly. What were you gonna say?
It's been so long since I've looked at the rankings. I think I just got dejected with it, and I let my emotions get the best of me. So I stopped looking at the rankings. I was like, no, fuck this.
Yeah, no. We, with that delisting, we really took a dip in the rankings.
What's interesting is that we were in the 50s. Like before that, I remember seeing us in the 50s from time to time, 40s, 50s, and now the delisting is done. That event is right. They can only do it once. Well, I guess they have a bunch of exchanges, but I mean the Binance one is like, it was the big one in everyone's mind. But yeah, I mean we've done. Looks like we're doing good. Like 34. That's up. That's higher than before the delisting, I think.
I think so. I saw people like rumors that Coinbase would add Monero. I don't know why this rumor would start now, but I saw that people mentioning that on Twitter. I don't know if you caught that at all.
I have not heard about that, but
I don't know why now. That wouldn't even make sense. Like I don't know why that would happen now.
I mean, we're right around the brink of Kraken delisting from Germany, and people are betting on that happening in the U.S. this year or next year.
Yeah, so. wouldn't make any sense.
One day
we'll catch
Pepe.
We'll catch the Pepe. Yeah, no, dude. So some of these things, you look at them, you're just like, wow, humanity really lost its way.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think that that's the orchestration of. Well, no, all right, never mind.
Well, what were you gonna say?
Well, they couldn't. I was gonna say that's I see a lot of that as kind of the orchestration of these sort of scumbag players in the background. But they couldn't do that if people weren't actually buying Pepe. So
yeah, the people love shit like that, man.
Dogecoin top 10.
Doge is top 10. Well, yeah, Doge has like always been top 10, right?
Doge, we're coming for you. You're gonna get put down by, I don't know, some other meme coin.
Yeah, Doge.
Everyone likes WoW here. I don't really like WoW, but I mean it's still better than Doge. So
yeah, I don't really get the WoW thing. I'm not. I think WoW. If you want to bring that up, I think WoW rallied right because it got added to Cake Wallet.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Darrow Pirate. Which one should we remove? Zcash. Yeah, fuck Zcash. Wow, USD T. What the hell? Pancake. What is? Oh, Woo. Did I just type it wrong? No, it doesn't want to. Wait, can I buy?
WoW is blocked. They're censoring
is
WoW. You thought Monero was the real threat. Apparently, it's WoW.
It's not good enough
WoW
to
is too low liquidity. They won't track it.
Damn.
But it did pump this week because I think it finally Did it get added to Cake?
Not yet. It'll be in probably the next release or the release after.
Okay.
Maybe I have to go to Monero.
Shit, you guys couldn't give me some inside info at the MoneroCon? Let me know. I would have bought a bunch of now.
Hey, it's public.
Bro, where's our inside trading opportunity?
I got some WoW, or I'll be getting some WoW for the Monerotopia sponsorship. They will be one of the sponsors, which is very, very nice of them. And they'll be giving a Copa Monero team. There's going to be a WoW Nero Copa Monero team. But yeah, no, look, yeah, pumped.
$3,000 of volume. Wow.
Wait, where are we at right now? Yeah, because it crashed pretty significantly. So it went as high as.
So it came from 7 cents. It went as high as 12.5 cents. Currently sitting at
actually went higher. If you use Live Coin Watch, they have a better graph. It's more detailed.
I think
Live
Tux keeps his eye on the WoW, man. Tux is he's a WoW fan.
LiveCoinWatch.com.
I wouldn't say I'm a WoW fan.
He was pushing Vic to add WoW behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, it was definitely me, totally.
I can't believe it, man. I feel betrayed. No, I'm just kidding.
When is WoW adding full chain membership proofs? Like the day that Luke finishes some version of it? Just add it. Just add it.
Yep.
That'll be cool.
So WoW is the same as Monero, but they have higher. Well, they have a cap. That's different than Monero, right? So it's like not the same.
Oh, they do?
Mission? Or is it the same body? I don't remember.
I thought it was the same. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. The total supply is much higher. 184 million right now.
Okay. So the tail emission is much larger as well?
I'm not sure.
Total supply.
But current total supply is way higher compared to Monero's like 20 something million.
Yeah.
Didn't they implement something where so they have RandomX, but they implemented something where like they completely exclude pools. Like you can't be part of a pool. You have to just mine it. You have to solo mine.
That might be true.
Yeah, did they get that off the ground? They did that? That's cool.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of talk about it. People thought it would be a good idea for Monero, but it would definitely
Max
not
M
be.
said they won't have tail emission. All right, so I guess 184 million hard cap. And current 84 million in the circulating supply. So.
Yeah.
So how do they not have tail
is,
emission though? Don't they have dynamic block size?
No, it's because it's about price.
No, I know,
like
but I mean, I thought they're like trying to also be a well functioning chain. How are they handling dynamic block size, or they don't have dynamic block size?
One, I doubt they have enough volume for it to matter, but two, that would be a problem like far in the future. For the meantime, it's probably more valuable for them to have the hard cap narrative. Like, oh, we've got a hard cap. That makes it even more rare. And then
we got to,
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we got to get what's the Bawdyanarchist on here to talk about it.
Yeah,
John Murphy.
Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah. What's his name? The Reddit.
JW intern.
Yeah. The lead mod of Reddit cryptocurrency.
Yeah. John
So if
Murphy.
you really like Reddit cryptocurrency, guys, then you're really gonna love JW intern. He's the guy that's in charge of that.
He's been on here a couple times. He's a good guy. I've known him for a while now. Very very creative, very intelligent guy. He was down at Monerotopia last year, and while Nero will be down there again, I think he'll be presenting this year as well. I think he presented at MoneroCon. He presented on FOSS, free and open source software, which was a nice presentation.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll leave it at that. Keep it moving along.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Yeah,
right,
thank you,
buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Stick around if you can, if you want. Let's keep moving. Get the special guest up here.
All right, let's do it.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right, MrWonderland.
Hey there.
How's
Can
it
you hear
going,
me?
man? I hear you loud and clear. Good connection.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks to a fellow libertarian from this Rogers campground.
Fantastic. So you're at Rogers right now.
Exactly.
Now, is this your first time there? First time at PorcFest?
First time at PorcFest, but not the first time for PorcFest. Last year was my first time at PorcFest.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to tell everybody what ForkFest is. I think a lot of people probably don't know.
Yeah, basically it's just libertarians doing libertarian stuff. PorcFest wasn't like free enough, so they just forked the idea and created another fest just like PorcFest, but without rules and anything. Just people coming together, and yeah, that's basically it.
Very cool. Well, yeah. What made you come out for that one? That's a lot. It's like 2 weeks. So it's a week of PorcFest and a week of PorcFest. I could barely handle like 4 days of PorcFest. I love it, but it's like after 4 days, I'm like, I gotta get back to I don't know, get back to a shower.
Yeah. I mean, we have pretty okay showers for camping, I have to say. And at the moment, we are staying in the motel for now. But
okay, I'll be staying in the motel as well.
Yeah, okay. These are pretty nice. Depending on which you're in, currently one of the motels don't have like warm water, and the air conditioning is not really working. But yeah.
Oh, which one? The motel on site?
Yeah. There are like 2 motel buildings, and one of the buildings has problems with the air conditioning and the warm water.
Oh, okay. I've actually never stayed in the motel on site. I stay in like the hotel off. That must be fun though. That must be fun staying right there. You got the pool right there as well, and like
which didn't function last year, but that's just Roger's campground. So what was the question again?
Yeah, I mean, Rogers Campground really wasn't built for you know, the infrastructure wasn't built with these type of events in mind, right? It was meant to just be like kind of a holiday campsite.
Oh yeah, right. Why Fork and PorcFest this year? Last year, PorcFest was so amazing, and we also like stayed. I went with another German friend here, and we stayed for like 3 weeks, and met a bunch of libertarians. It was just so mind-blowing, especially like for a German that barely knows any libertarians in real life, and then like being surrounded by like 3,300 libertarians. It's just unfathomable. That made us like come to PorcFest this year too, because a bunch of people we met last year won't be coming to PorcFest this year, but they are coming for PorcFest. So we thought, okay, maybe just grab both of those and just see what it is about.
Fantastic, man. Yeah, no, I that's the best part, right? Is the environment, being surrounded by all these like-minded, open-minded individuals. It's just amazing conversations and interactions.
Yeah. Also, like being able to pay for your food with like gold bags and also Monero is just it's a really nice feeling.
I'm getting a message here. Hi, Douglas. I'm the guy from the supermarket. Remember me? In a few hours, I have something very interesting to show the community. All right. I think this is the guy from Argentina.
Oh.
From the supermarket in Buenos Aires that we got to add Monero. I think that's who that is. So he's got potentially some breaking news here on Monerotopia if he jumps up later.
Perfect.
We'll see what that's all about. Very cool.
Also, I already talked to one of the vendors about XMR Bazaar. And
fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm already like trying to promote Monero, but really like a lot of vendors I know about already accept Monero. So yeah,
that's what really drove me to PorcFest the first time. I guess it was like 4 years ago now. I don't even remember the first time I went. I needed to see, are people there aware of Monero, or they're using Monero? Because like, if not, then there's a problem. But sure enough, when I showed up, Monero was one of the cryptos that was accepted among the PorcFest crowd. So that's always been a very strong sign for me that the libertarians that really are into using this stuff for purposes of a medium of exchange have arrived at Monero.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they still use a bunch of like CoinCash and Dash also.
Yes. I don't know why. Like it just that shows you how sticky this stuff is, right? So like in the earlier days when Dash first came out, it had a strong presence there at PorcFest. I forget the Dash girl, what her name was, Amanda B or something. I don't know if you remember her from back in the day. She was She was like when Dash first came on the scene. She was like kind of the Monero talk of Dash, but always out there spreading it really. Would go to PorcFest quite a bit, and she spread it there. Zcash as well had like a large movement in the early days, so there's still remnants of that. But Monero, I just feel like is just slowly, organically spreading because everybody's just like, oh yeah, of course I'll accept Monero too. They might be, a Dash person from the early days or a Zcasher, but they're not going to say no to Monero, right? At this point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nobody's really. There's no real anti Monero because there's no reason to be. They're like, sure, I'll take untraceable cash.
Yeah, exactly. It's just all about the like cash aspect and getting away from like dirty fiat. So yeah. Also.
So what do you think? What do you think of our plan? Right. So my thinking is, did you scope out our spot? I think it's pretty well strategically placed spot. Right. Spot number 6.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe you can start. You can start setting up there whenever you want. Just start slowly setting it up. I'm not going to get there until Thursday morning. But yeah, if you could start setting up beforehand, I can maybe even have the coffee shipped to you. Although that probably isn't going to do much for us because you don't have a means of making it. The machine I'll be bringing with me. I'll bring the espresso machine.
Yeah.
But we could try to get the stickers shipped to you.
Yeah.
The pamphlets.
I have these like the normal Monero stickers, a few hundred with me.
Okay.
So I would probably just go and give them out to the vendors for now until they have like the really
Perfect.
the Monero accepted stickers.
Yeah,
so, I'm talking about like this one and also like the gold version of this. Like
Nice.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
You came prepared.
Yeah, exactly.
We get
before I knew about like that you gonna be attending and want to like push the Monero adoption a little bit. This was also my plan, kind of, as I already like did it last year. As there were a bunch of people that accepted Monero in the years prior, but their like apps they used didn't stop supporting Monero. It was I don't know even what the app was called, something proprietary. And so I onboarded them to Cake Wallet. And,
nice.
Bought a bunch of stuff with Monero. So
nice. Yeah, I know people were using like over there, like remember Jack's Wallet? I think that was like one of the popular ones. Or it's funny you come across.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
And about I already like have one person that said he can lend us a tent. So I can start like kind of early building stuff up. I also ask for people that maybe want to volunteer at the tent. Also there, I already got contacted by like 2 people. One is arriving at Monday. So yeah,
nice.
He's definitely gonna like try start the hub early on Monday. So
fantastic, man, fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you could you create the hub for us on PorcFest? Because
yeah, sure. I can, yeah.
Yeah, and you list it and then put it on the map as slot 6. Because if I need to send you proof or something that I don't know how they're doing it, but
yeah, I already like helped one other fellow libertarian out because he wouldn't be let into his room because it was like booked from a mate of his who was arriving later and so on. So we already like talked to one of the organizers of PorcFest, and so I just hook up there and see what kind of like proof they want, so I can like put this on the map soon.
Fantastic. Yeah, see if you could do that today, and then we'll tweet it out. And then also I think I want to add like a workshop every day. So we'll do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Obviously if you want to start beforehand, but I think that's sure. I won't get there till then. So like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we could do a workshop. We could pick a good time, whatever you think is a good time of day. And we do like put it on the official calendar so people know to stop by whatever at 1 p.m. On Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, we maybe I'm maybe going to check the schedule and maybe see if there are any like competing things or what would be maybe a good time to do this workshop. Yeah.
Cool.
What do you want to do, or what kind of workshop do you want to do? or have
I was
in mind?
thinking like a Monero 101. I sent a quick breakdown in the chat of what I was just thinking offhand. You know, like literally, what is Monero?
Okay.
Why Monero matters, right? Why Monero is different. How to obtain Monero, how to use Monero, how to use Monero as a merchant, whether online or in person. Just the real basics of somebody who's like, okay, why does Monero even matter? They get it. Okay, I'm interested. Now, how do I start interacting with it? You know, the wallets to download, just the basic spiel that I basically have with every single noob as I'm drinking coffee with them. But now just do it collectively to a group.
Okay.
So,
Probably I can probably improvise something like this. Yeah. I mean, I do. Yeah. I talk about this all the time, and
if you want to wait. Yeah, you could wait till Thursday, and then we'll kick off the first. Maybe we'll get a decent group there. But yeah, however you want to do it. But yeah, if you put it in the schedule, at least for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and if you get that up, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Gonna look at that.
Awesome. And then the map. We got to get the map going. I guess I'll look into printing it and bringing that up there, unless you have any ideas.
Yeah, I asked at Rogers, and we can like print. I think the standard size A4. I don't know if that's international and it applies to American also. I only know the European sizes, so the standard size. We can print here for like 25 cents per sheet.
Oh, and you tape them all together?
Yeah, that would be an idea. I'm also like thinking about what. Where do we like want to take them to? So maybe I'm gonna talk to someone and we head out to the nearest town and maybe see if we can get a billboard or something cheap from like Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe. Sweet. Yeah. I was thinking like poster board too would be good, because instead of a whiteboard, maybe like just big something we can write on and tear the pages off. Like
right.
Do something like that. Yeah, I'll grab that stuff if you can't, but I won't get up there till Thursday with it. Okay. Yeah, you got to improvise, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I have a Monero flag with me, just a really basic one. I got donated by a fellow German libertarian Monero enthusiast at one of the Monero meetups from Alex Anarcho in Germany, in Offenbach.
Okay, very cool.
So at least we have that to like mark our spot, and I'm gonna tape all the Monero stickers all over it. So
awesome, man. I think that the map is going to be fun. It's going to be impactful because people will see all the little Monero sticker, all the different vendors that are accepting.
Yeah. I really hope like we can get like pretty much every vendor. So
yeah.
I mean, I didn't like check every vendor last year, but most of them already like accepted them. Also, I need to shill one of the or promote one of the stands or like the vendors that already accepts Monero. He's like Daniel from the Chapatis, really great Indian food.
He's a big Monero guy. Him and his wife, is that a couple that does it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And really great guy, big Monero enthusiast. So big shout out to him.
Are they already there?
No, they're coming Monday, I think. I'm looking forward to their food. So that's
maybe we should put on the schedule too, like a party or something, like, right? So we'll have the Monero 101 workshops. So you can put that in the schedule. But maybe we should have like an event, like
okay.
We're
back. Hopefully, okay.
Like I lost you.
Yeah, for a short moment, I think. But okay, now we're back.
We could have like a happy hour, or I know Bitcoin has like Bitcoin and coffee in the morning. They put on their thing. I mean, obviously, we'll already be doing that, right? We have the coffee thing. Unless we make that the workshops in the morning as we're having coffee. But that's another idea.
Yeah, I mean,
coffee and Monero 101.
Yeah, sure. Maybe we can like do a little like a cooperation with another like a bar or something for.
Yeah, we could have like a little like a happy hour thing, or maybe we get a bunch of joints pre-rolled, and we could have coffee and joints at the Monero.
Yeah, I mean, there's a shop that sells all you need about in that category, and they have also a lot of like pre-roll stuff. So
Yeah.
we could maybe like talk to
We
them.
could, yeah, we could sell coffee and joints. Yeah, if you could find a good joint manufacturer there, somebody who's rolling good ones, willing to sell them for Monero, we'll purchase them, bring them to our stand, and have them there for sale with our coffee. And that's
for sure. yeah, I think the idea is it's getting somewhere.
This is how it comes together, my man.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's awesome that I met you at MoneroCon too. That was fantastic.
Yes, it was it was an honor and a pleasure. Yeah.
Now, was that your first time at MoneroCon?
Yeah, yes.
I think so, right? Because I don't recall meeting you before. Okay, and I didn't meet you at PorcFest last year because I wasn't there last year. So it was the first time we met. So what was your take on MoneroCon?
Oh, I loved it. It just added to my excitement for Porc and PorcFest, and it's just and I think now I have like 2 yearly events I need to attend. So with like potentially Monerotopia in the November.
Yeah, we got to get you to Monerotopia, man.
I've already like talked to a few friends about that. So maybe
Which reminds me, a lot of people that I spoke to about Monerotopia at MoneroCon that were local to Europe, a lot of them expressed like this concern of safety in Mexico. I don't know what's going on in the media over there, but like obviously Mexico, like any place, there's places that are safe that are not safe. Mexico City, I don't know, was like 13 million plus people. I mean, it's a tremendous mega city. But they scared the hell out of Europeans with regards to Mexico because everybody I talked to was like, "Oh, really?" like yeah, like we go there every year. We go all around Mexico. So I don't know. Is that do you have that personal experience from being from Europe? Like, what's your take on safety in Mexico? I feel like the meme is that it's very dangerous.
Yeah, I'm a bit skeptical about like the safety aspect about Mexico, but a good friend of mine was in Mexico last year, I think. Yeah, last year, and he said it was really awesome. But or as soon as you know which like areas you can like attend or which you should maybe not go to at night or something.
Where was he in Mexico? Do you know?
I don't really remember.
Okay. I mean, Mexico's tremendous. You got
exactly.
Mexico City, you got Guadalajara, you got I mean, obviously, it's vast.
Yeah, he traveled around a bit and stayed in Mexico City for some time, I think. And it was like not in Mexico City, but I think on the way back to catching his flight, they got like stopped by the Mexican cartel. And
really,
so that was an interesting like experience, but it was all fine and
okay. So, well, we're going to be in Mexico City, which is major metropolis. You land in the airport, you're all good, and then it's in the Roma district of Mexico City, which is like it's kind of like the neighborhood where MoneroCon was. It's got a little bit of a feel like that. I describe it's like the West Village of New York City, but in Mexico. It's like hipsters, nice cafes, nice shops. It's very gentrified for better or worse. But there's a beautiful park, park there where we have the conference.
Oh, really?
Puerto Roma. Yeah, so it's basically in the center of the Roma district. It was a public park, and then it got taken over by these hippies like 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
And they never left, and they've turned it into a commune, and they have little gardens in there and whatnot. And it's like they're kind of their own little oasis. So what happens in Huerta Roma stays in Huerta Roma, and it's like in the center of the city. People, you just come in there, and it's very cool because then it's also open to the public. So when we have the marketplace, the public can come and check out the marketplace. Yeah, it's knock on wood. It's very, very safe. I mean, obviously, if you could find trouble there easily, but it's very easy to stay out of trouble in that neighborhood. You stay at an Airbnb, hotel. That whole neighborhood is very safe.
Yeah. I talked to one guy here, and he said like that a bunch of libertarians like moved actually to Mexico or Mexico City, I think. So there seems to be like a building or a certain like community already being established. So maybe there is some potential for like more people for Monerotopia or in general, like.
Yeah, please get us in touch with them.
Sure.
Yeah, get us talking with them. Maybe they could help spread it down there. Yeah, a big part of Monerotopia is we want it to be that not just Monero people that are coming in from all over the world, but we want it to be open to the public, get noobs to just come check it out for free. They walk in, see the marketplace, see big signs with Monero. Next thing you know, they're talking to Andres about Monero, and he's giving them the pitch, you know, whatever it may be. We'll let them access. Well, we'll have talks going on in Spanish in addition to English.
Okay.
So making it very accessible to locals who want them to come learn about Monero.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the nice things about Monero, that you don't really have to shit it really hard. Just like let the technology speak for itself, because it just works pretty good. I mean, okay, if you're a complete noob, then maybe, okay, not so much. I mean, there's still like a little bit of like know-how needed. But in general, if you like can use a PC and your smartphone somewhat, then it pretty much just works. So it matured quite a lot over the years. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what is your Monero store, if you don't mind telling people? I mean, you don't have to, but if you don't mind, like, how'd you find your way to Monero?
Good question. I know that I think in 2010 or 11, I mined some Bitcoin.
Oh wow!
But I didn't save them or anything. I just it was like a little bit of testing with that. But then I like completely forgot about crypto for like a decade. And then I think 2 or 3 years back, I got introduced or reintroduced to crypto through internet community called Program. It's a German something like 4chan. And, there I got introduced to IOTA, I think. And then from there on, I kind of researched the whole space for like a year. And somewhere on the line, I stumbled upon Monero. I don't know exactly how or through who, but yeah. One of the first like informations about Monero was like Alex Anarcho and the Monero Mumble podcast, I think. Yeah, we
gotta get Alex Anarcho down to Monerotopia. That'd be cool. Cool.
Exactly. Yeah, I tried really hard, like getting him coming here, but he's very afraid about the US and not so fond of like not like it's pretty. It's as someone who values his privacy quite a lot. It's a strange feeling going to the US. Like, I mean, alone that the fact that you the access to the US can be denied if you don't show them your like smartphone if they ask you or something like this is a bit sketchy. But yeah, but for now it all like worked out, and so
yeah, I mean, I think if you keep your phone off and it's password locked, they can't force you to open it. I mean, unless there's some probable cause.
Yeah, if you like with a
I believe I don't know. I gotta look back into what they go ahead.
Yeah, if you have like it secured with a fingerprint, they can like force you to use your finger. But if you have a password, they can force you to put in your password because you might have just forgot it. Right. But then they can like deny you entrance, I think. So entry to the US. So yeah, it's not so great, but for now.
Well, in general, right? I mean, you should try to travel with a clean phone device where you just have maybe a couple of Monero, some spending Monero on it, right? Yeah. But yeah, no, it's terrifying that we're at that point for sure.
Exactly.
It's like you cross through these borders and it's like all rights just completely dissipate. Like you're in this area of the world where it's like you now have zero rights. You're basically like a prisoner, right? In the most obvious way.
Yeah, I mean, there there's a function in like Graphene OS that got added recently
I was about to
called.
show that. Thank
Oh
you
yeah,
for
okay.
mentioning it.
The duress password, I think.
Oh,
Where you
very
like,
cool.
if you're
Yeah,
in
it's
need
the rest
and
pin.
if you're like get forced to unlock your phone, you can like just type in that pin, and then I think the telephone starts wiping itself and just presents a very clean profile. Yeah, but maybe Tux, you want to add to that?
It's not, unfortunately, it's not quite that easy. It would be nice. Like a lot of people mentioned, it would be nice if you could just put in a different pin and it opens like a different profile. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite do that.
Okay.
It basically deletes some keys that are required to unlock the storage, and when it reboots, it's like in a corrupted state. So I mean, it's still like if you're in like in a pinch and you want to wipe your phone, well, just put in that special pin.
Okay.
But they'll probably know what happened if they're aware of Graphene OS. They'll be able to know that you use that feature.
Yeah, probably. That's the question. If you get like they force you to like show them your phone, and you just show them a very clean like profile of Graphene, do they like recognize their
I mean, that's a good idea
profile?
though. Like if they want, just switch to a different profile real quick. But yeah, I definitely understand the fear of coming to the U.S. as a non-U.S. citizen, because you really have like no rights as a non-U.S. citizen. Like, pretty much anything goes.
Yeah, exactly.
What Tux, what do you think of me purchasing one of these SIM cards here on XMR Bazaar? What do you think of this?
You could try it.
Yeah.
Personally, I wouldn't purchase physical SIM cards. I just buy silent.link eSIMs with Monero.
Yes.
That's the way to go, right?
Yeah. It honestly is the way to go. And you just top them off online, whatever you want with Monero.
Yeah. It's really convenient. I also like hooked up. I hooked up myself last year with silent.link, and this year I got one for my other German friend. They are really like convenient. It's not so cheap if you need a lot of data. I think it's like $15 around for a gigabyte of data. But it's very convenient.
Oh, you said $15 for 1 gig of data?
Yeah,
I guess it depends on the location. Like for me, it's like
US.
$1 for a gigabyte.
Oh, okay.
So you pretty much like use that on a daily? Like you're using your
I mean, I don't need most of the fine. I don't need,
because
I'm usually on Wi-Fi, right? I don't need data. But in the cases that I do, because unfortunately you can't really get away with not having that sometimes, then I have Silent Link, and it's great because a lot of people, when going to Czech Republic, they were like, my data doesn't work, I can do eSIM, whatever. But my Silent Link is always on roaming, and it works with over 180 carriers worldwide. So it just immediately connected to whatever the first available carrier was that it saw, and it worked just fine.
Fantastic.
It's great if you're traveling internationally a lot.
Yeah. Can highly recommend it. It's it worked pretty great for like the US and stuff.
I'll get it going. Fantastic, man. MrWonderland, anything else you want to touch upon? You got the stage, man.
I think no, I'm very glad, Doug, that you are doing like God's work for the Monero community and coming to PorcFest. I'm really excited about this. So just want to thank you and everyone that's participating in the Monero community. Like at MoneroCon, I also like thank Luke because it's just so awesome. I mean, I'm kind of a techie person myself, but on that level, it's just another level. And really grateful for all the people that are able to do this and decide to do this for Monero.
Fantastic, man. And thanks for reaching out and helping out with PorcFest. That's
sure.
Tremendous load off my back. I mean, obviously I'll be there with you, but it's nice. It's nice to have others just help take the reins. So I greatly appreciate that, and look forward to hanging out. We're gonna have a blast, man. You'll be. You'll be a different individual by the time I see you for a couple of days from now. I'm sure. PorcFest transforms people living out there with the libertarians. But very much look forward to hanging out with you. It's going to be a blast.
Exactly. I mean, I'm also like involved with a German 10 site this year, because like last year we were 2 Germans discounting one German that migrated to the US 15 years ago, I think, and one girl from Switzerland. But this year we are like 7 people from Germany, so
Oh, okay.
a lot of also like planning for this one. So
That's you're with 7 other people that you came with.
6 others then.
Okay.
We're gonna be.
Oh, 7 total. Yeah. Have them. Please have them hanging up at the Monero hub for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be
I'm
fantastic.
gonna make sure.
Yeah. Let's. So let's figure out. So get the get it on the calendar.
Mhm.
Get the workshops on the calendar. Let's get
Yes.
the Monero hub on the official map. And then if you have any ideas, maybe we could pick one evening, whether it's maybe like Friday evening or Saturday evening. Or Saturday at we have some event, right? It'd be cool if we had something.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to give us too much work, but it's really just putting in the calendar. It's not people can just show up. Like I said, it could be coffee and joints or something. I don't know. It could be something more. It doesn't have to be as
like something like a kind of daily workshop for like people just coming and ask questions, and if they have problems, like a time where they know, okay, there's going to be someone there
right.
where they can ask.
Yeah, I guess that can be the event. That could be the whatever, the happy hour or whatever.
Yeah, but also like
the workshop itself. Yeah.
But I also like the idea of an event, like getting people together, like smoke or drink or whatever, like having something more like this.
Exactly.
Or more than just a workshop. Yeah.
Right.
Could be great.
But it's just happening like that all the time anyway. Everybody's just it's one big party. It's one large party at PorcFest, which is awesome.
Yeah, true. Okay.
All right, MrWonderland.
Yeah.
Greatly
Thanks,
appreciate your time making this happen, figuring out Are you on Starlink right now? No. You're
I'm on Starlink right now, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I found someone here with a Starlink, and he was kind enough to let me use it. And also like sit in his front porch and on his rocking chair, having because it's pretty nice weather outside today, as you maybe can see in the background. But it's a little bit windy, so I was afraid of the sound. But I think it hopefully worked out.
Yeah, actually, we got to figure that out for what we'll try to stream a show there on Saturday morning at a normal time.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we could use somebody's Starlink.
Yeah, sure. Sure. I'm gonna make sure to hook you up.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. Okay. Last year there were multiple people with like Starlink, so I'm pretty sure we might be able to find one.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know Dragon X is there too. That guy Dan from Acapulco.
Oh yeah.
Anarchapulco. Yeah, he'll be there. He has a Starlink as well.
Okay, cool.
All right, buddy. Yeah, stick around if you like. We'll move to Tux. You want to move to viewers on stage? We'll get if anybody else wants to jump up, chat, and then we'll.
I was going to run the news.
You want to run the news? All right, run the news. MrWonderland, thank you so much, man. I'll see you in a couple of days. We'll continue to coordinate. Anybody who wants to help out with PorcFest, please jump into the Telegram that we have set. I don't know what the link is. I can try to throw it in the chat. I'll try to throw it in the chat right now. It's in the description. If you're going to PorcFest and you want to help out with Monero adoption, jump into that Telegram chat.
Also, I might like print a QR code for like a simple X invitation link. So if people have problems and there's nobody there at the Monero 10, they can just scan this and contact me directly through simple X.
Beautiful.
But also
beautiful.
The idea. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Very cool, man. That would be a good. You could even do a presentation on Simple X. I don't know if that's something that. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I already talked to a few other techie persons. One is setting up a little mesh network around here to provide somewhat of an internet, because for now the connection is pretty good with smartphones. But as soon as there are I don't know, a few hundred people here, it's pretty garbage. So
all right.
Word. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, man. Look forward to seeing you. We'll see you soon.
I'm excited.
All right, buddy. Cheers. All right.
Go ahead and jump into the news.
Let's do it.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right.
All right. And if anyone has any info on what's going on with Wizard Swap, that would be useful because it seems like their website's been broken for a while. They had a new domain, and the new domain is like on like I think they're getting DDoSed or something.
Okay,
the new domain's like blocking me, so I can't even check it out.
Oh wow, I missed this news. All right, we'll try to find out what's going on there. All right, I'm dropping
they have the Cloudflare stuff very aggressive right now.
Okay.
Yep. Oh yeah, someone's DDoSed. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and share my screen here.
I just dropped the Telegram group in the chat, guys. And
I already did.
PorcFest people. Okay.
Let's see, share. All right. Oh, there's my screen. All right. News of CBDCs in the last 24 hours. Coincidentally, the price of privacy coin Monero also went up. 2025, the year I says privacy coins will be in demand, is coming. I don't know who this guy is. Meta Rayek. I don't know if this has anything to do with actually being correlated or not.
Yeah, no, it was just a fun correlation.
Yeah, Monero has been definitely pumping recently.
Yes, whether that has anything to do with the rising usage of CBDCs, we do not know. But
I don't know, but it is interesting considering how many exchanges it's gotten delisted from, right?
For sure.
Mario New Fall, not fall. U.S. crypto crackdown imminent. Legislation that would force the crypto industry to identify users in order to avoid sanctions was inserted into the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence's recent funding package. The measure would automate the process of sanctioning foreign digital asset transaction facilitators, including exchanges that are linked to anyone who supports terrorism. Senator Mark Warner's staff has been meeting with industry representatives to determine whether it can be removed from the final version of the National Defense Authorization Act. Source CoinDesk.
It's pretty crazy. They tried to slip it into this bill, this funding bill.
Well, that's always how it works. They slip these. Yeah,
it would have been one of the largest moves in terms of legislation against crypto that we've had ever to date, and they just wanted to slip it into a funding bill. I'm not even sure. I don't even know what the exact language was, but apparently it seemed to be pretty broad. That all crypto needed to be de-anonymized, essentially.
Yep, but that is always how it works, though. Always try to slip it in. Hope that people don't notice it too much. People have to vote, and people are trying to get something passed, and just kind of slip it in.
Pretty crazy. We would have effectively tried to ban Monero, essentially. Crazy.
I think this is the CoinDesk article that was just mentioned.
It doesn't say much more in there, to be honest. So I don't know what the exact language was that they tried to slip in the bill, but it was extremely broad. And it sounds like it's not going to make it. It's going to get pulled out, but still,
which is good.
An attempt was made.
Further attempts will be made in the near future.
Crazy.
All right, so post from Rothamus. This is really funny. Got a meme here. This is one of those typical Twitter recycle meme accounts. Thank you for your help today. Here's some Bitcoin. Thank you. No, how am I supposed to tax this transaction? And it got totally community noted. For most people, paying in cash remains a more anonymous option. All Bitcoin transactions are public, traceable, and permanently stored. Bitcoin works with an unprecedented level of transparency that most people are not used to dealing with. I like the way they put that. An unprecedented level of transparency that most people aren't used to dealing with, which is quite accurate.
How did community notes work? So anybody can add a community note?
You have to apply for community notes, and if you get approved, then you can I don't do it, so I don't know exactly how it works.
I love the
really
fact
funny. I can't believe this massive post has been community noted against Bitcoin being private. It's great.
It's true though, right?
It's true. It's true. And it links to the bitcoin.org/protect your privacy, which is just blah, 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 using your addresses, use mixers, it's just like a bunch of garbage. It doesn't really help you very much. So I guess it's the only way to really be private in Bitcoin. It doesn't even mention newer stuff, but whatever. So next, another article from CoinDesk. The European Union's Innovation Hub for Internal Security warned law enforcement agencies that crypto platforms like mixers, privacy coins, and layer 2 networks can complicate tracing the origin of funds. Privacy coins, mixers, and layer 2 platforms can make it difficult for law enforcement agencies to trace funds, according to a report from the European Union's Innovation Hub for Internal Security, a network of labs supporting internal security organizations in the 27-nation bloc.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's a good thing. If they're starting to at the privacy, maybe it means it works and it's effective.
It's working.
That's basically all I take from these kinds of articles. It's like, oh, okay,
Right.
yeah, they don't like it. That means it's working.
Exactly.
Here's one from yourself, if you want to read this one.
Oh, I can't even read it because
Oh,
it's too
okay,
far
yep.
away. But yeah, I would just go ahead, give it a.
Yep,
give it
here
a
we
read.
go. The hashtag Birdflu narrative is growing. The vax is already ready, and the goal appears to be controlling/reducing our meat, dairy, egg food supply. Opt out now, so we are ready for what happens next. Come build out a digital cash-based circular economy on xmrbazaar.com. We need peer-to-peer direct from farm food supply sold for untraceable, unstoppable Monero. It's got a picture from this article of COVID with wings, backyard chicken coops. Those evil neighbors and their backyard chicken coops are bringing down the farming industry with the bird flu. Yikes,
Dude, it's scary, right? We talked about this theoretically, like years ago, 2 years ago now, whatever. We started saying they're gonna start controlling our food supply, banning our measuring our access or controlling our access to how much meat we can consume, things like that. So here you go. This
is the straw for me. I'm gonna go buy chickens. I've been talking about it for wanting to for a while, but
yeah, I haven't been following this whole bird flu thing too closely, but it does seem like it's really ramping up.
They're trying to ramp it up and then blaming like people, like your backyard chickens come in contact with chickens,
right?
It's like it's insanely.
That's the problem,
stupid.
right? Like we got to get rid of raw milk. Nobody can drink raw milk anymore, and then we got to make sure nobody's producing their own eggs in their backyard, and that will solve the problem. It's fucking crazy.
It is crazy. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Buy chickens, guys. If you already have chickens, buy 10 more chickens. Every time you see something telling you not to have backyard chickens, you buy more chickens.
100%. But yeah, if anybody has any good insights into what may happen with the bird flu thing, I was talking to some people at MoneroCon, and they're concerned that there might be like another lockdown coming in November. I was talking to somebody who seemed to have been following this stuff pretty closely. So we shall see. That would be crazy. That would be insane. Or if something started to come before then, like we saw with COVID and
it's right. It's the same time. Yep. Same time.
Yeah. Next thing you know, there's mail-in voting again, right? And everybody's locked down, or they try to push something where they basically scare the hell out of everybody to stay home, mail-in voting only. Who the fuck knows what's going on? But they're doing something. Something's up with the bird flu thing right now, and it's very much a growing narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna like worry. Like giving it attention is probably giving it more credence than it needs to have anyway. So I'm not like gonna be up in arms about it. But I'm not going to comply with whatever dumb bullshit they want us to do this time. All right, next up, TFTC. Donald Trump says Bitcoin mining may be our last line of defense against the CBDC. We want all the remaining Bitcoin to be made in the USA. Let's go, America first and America number one. Now, what's funny about this is that what's going to happen is that instead of having China KYC all the miners, it's going to be the U.S. federal government that's going to KYC everybody. Once we are dominant in Bitcoin mining, the U.S. government will control most of it.
Yeah, any like Monero, a Bitcoin idiot who is like, this is fantastic. I mean, it just it completely has lost the plot and not realizing that this just shows you that Bitcoin can be corralled because of its mining,
Totally.
right? Like what Trump is saying here isn't that fucking far fetched. We can't get to the point where 99% of all mining is in the U.S. And what does that mean? Like you said, it's just going to be one or two companies that are controlling it all, that are then working in concert with the government to do whatever the government asks of them at that point, because they want their monopoly on Bitcoin mining, so they will bend the knee absolutely. And realize this can't be done with Monero. This cannot be done with Monero.
Trump he never liked cryptocurrency, he never liked Bitcoin in the past, and now he's kind of forced to contend with the fact that there's a large portion of people that want that and will potentially vote for him based on him like having good rhetoric on crypto. But this is like taking it a step further where he's gonna, it's just like taking it to his, to the advantage of the federal government in a way. Like, we're going to be pro crypto, but to the point where everyone's mining in the U.S. and then we can have control over 50.
And then you got all the Bitcoiners deploy. Yeah! Like they're really fucking idiots. But that being said, I am all Trump this go around. I've supported in 2020 when I was running for Congress. I voted for Trump. I was not about to vote for Biden, but I always explained my issues with Trump, the things I didn't like about him, that he was just the best choice out of the two, right? But this time around, I'm supporting him more. I'm promoting him. I'm saying we should vote for Trump. I think it will help crypto. I think it will help Monero. Is the guy like completely full of shit? Yeah, 100%. But the fact is, he's seeing a path to the presidency by catering to these ideas. We saw him come to the Libertarian National Convention. So for whatever reason, he sees value in selling these concepts. So whether or not he actually believes in these things, I don't care. But when he says things like he's going to free Ross Ulbright on day one of his presidency, how do you not give it a shot, right? Compared to what the other options are.
I mean, is this just
effectively
like a
electing,
claim, right? Because I mean, there's a lots of things that were claimed that was going to be done last time around and weren't.
This one really resonated with me, and did you see him say it? I watched him say it. It was at the Libertarian National Convention. He stared everybody dead face in the eyes and says he's going to bring Ross home. So, can he just lie about it? Of course, but what's like I said, I'd rather gamble on that lie than the other option, which is the Biden administration, which I don't even that's just terrifying. At least I feel like we have a chance to have somebody that, even if it's for selfish reasons, is going to move us more, swing us more towards liberty than away from it. That's my take. I mean, the only other option is RFK Jr. And
it also brings shivers down my spine.
I liked him out of the gate. I think you did too a little bit, right?
Yeah, but then of course as time goes on, you start to see he's kind of a gun grabber, and he's kind of pro-war, and kind of lied about being
pro-reparations, wants to take the guns away, anti-nuclear. The best thing about him is his stance on the vax and stuff, and like his understanding of that, and that's really where what got me excited. But he seems to be a hypocrite in other ways. Like he's got these principles that he's very good at explaining, but there's hypocrisy in his policies.
Totally. Personally, I'm not going to vote the general or for the final elections, guys. I don't know. I feel like I'm treating myself as a joke. Honestly,
you're an agorist. You're an agorist. You're not even going to participate. You think the best way to? No, I mean there's potential value to that option. I'm not there yet. I still think the best way is to engage and just try to.
See, I care more about
you got to join them to beat them type thing.
Local elections. I think those matter more.
100%. I mean, especially presidential, right? Like I live in New York, so it doesn't even matter. It's a Democratic state.
Yeah.
But yeah, local is where it's at. You have a much larger effect. But we shall see. You know, you never know. We might get Trump mumbling the word Monero before you know it.
Potentially. And he has been like kind of, I guess in a way, sort of inviting libertarians to the table a little bit.
And he's really seeing the value in reducing the role of the federal government because he's actively being attacked by it, right? So he
Yes.
personally wants to get into office and disrupt it. He wants to disrupt the federal government. So I'll vote for that. I'll vote for somebody that wants to go in there and just start fucking breaking everything and then and trying to just disrupt the federal government, reduce the amount of power it has. Because I think he's personally been affected by it. It's been weaponized against him. He wants to reduce the ability that the federal government has to weaponize itself against freedom-loving citizens. Because he was personally affected by it. So, this is how I'm justifying myself. Vote Doug 2024. Yeah, man.
2024, that's right.
I don't think so. Never again. Never again. There's so much more I could do in Monero Land.
All right, we got last news here. Tariffs over taxes. For most of American history, tariffs dominate taxes as a source of federal government revenue. I think this is coming out because Trump he mentioned, what if we got rid of income tax?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's a great read though. I mean, this guy Balaji, I love this guy, except I don't know what he's like a Zcasher somehow. We got to get him on Monero. He's such a smart dude. He suggested eliminating U.S. income taxes and replacing it with tariffs. So yeah, here's another example, right? What's that?
I'll definitely be reading through this after the.
Yeah, give it a good read. I mean, he's basically saying how this is how things were essentially originally done, right? Income tax is a relatively new thing. Kind of potentially takes us back to the glory days.
I'm definitely in favor of tariffs over. I mean, it'd be nice if there's none, right? But in favor of tariffs over tax, yes, for sure.
Yeah, and his argument is too, complete open free trade is great in theory, but when you're at a point where you have China that's producing
stuff,
military grade robots, and then we're just producing basically worthless crap, right? We don't produce anything here. We're just we're just managers. Everybody's just a manager here in the U.S. Nobody's producing anything, so we get ourselves in a position where they now hold all the freaking power, right? So
this is
using
re-incentivizing,
tariffs,
well, more like disincentivizing people manufacturing stuff abroad.
Yeah,
basically.
And then on the other side, to have income taxes eliminated. Oh my God,
that would be insane.
Basically, get rid of the IRS
businesses and stuff here.
Yeah, actually, if you scroll down, what was one of his first comments? Wait, go down. Some of the comments on it. Oh yeah, read Lynn Albright's comment. This is great.
Lynn Alden,
yeah.
Income taxes became ubiquitous when financial surveillance became ubiquitous. If private P2P payments become more common, it's quite possible that tax methods will also revert to older eras where they were attached to more obvious physical things rather than income.
Monerica. So once Monerica takes over, this is what the transition will be in the U.S. It will no longer make sense for income taxes to exist because it won't be an efficient model for taxing the people. They'll be forced to use other means. So I think it's a pretty good theory, and Monero definitely gets us there. Bitcoin, not so much. I don't know.
Well,
does Lynn know that? I mean,
probably not.
I know. Does Lynn think Bitcoin takes us to a peer-to-peer world where the government can't easily tax? I don't know where she's getting that information from. Bitcoin, I think, does the opposite. Creates a perfectly surveillable.
Well, is she a Bitcoin person?
Economic
she didn't
system.
explicitly say Bitcoin here.
Yeah.
She's a Bitcoin person, though. I don't know who she is.
But maybe Lynn's a Monero person at the end of the day. Who knows? But I think that's a pretty good theory, and it has a lot to do with Monero and moving us towards this vision where essentially it doesn't make sense for them to assess income taxes because we'll be doing everything peer to peer, so there'll have to be some other means for them to raise money. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. We could jump to viewers on stage, and I'll have to duck out of here at some point, but we can get viewers on stage going. Just kind of let it self-propel as
All
it
right.
does.
Oh, is my tab broken? There we go. Let's do it.
It's the Viewers on Stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
All right. Inviting everyone up.
All right, well, let's see how my audio is this week.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay, good. Last week I had some major audio issues, so I'm glad it's working better this week. I changed.
Nice. Mr. WonderLand stuck around with us. Nice. That's nice to see. Yeah, Shortwave, you're pretty good. You're pretty good this week. We got Neolis, we got Comrade, Elias. I think he was the one that dropped that very interesting research paper a couple of weeks ago. Elias, are you there? Hello.
Gonna
He's on
take that
mute.
as a no.
All right, he's there on mute. Feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to chat. Neolis, what's going on? Also just on mute. Comrade, what do you got for us?
What's up?
How's it going, man? How was MoneroCon? What was your take?
I think overall it was great as last time. I have nothing more to say about that.
All right. Yeah, you had a blast, right? I saw you having a great time. And thanks for helping me out, man. You were a tremendous help.
No problem.
Tux was a tremendous help too. Oh my God, his laptop saved the day at some point.
Oh yeah.
I'm dropping the StreamYard link in the chat for anybody else that wants to jump up.
You were talking earlier about the possibility of Kraken delisting Monero in the U.S. and one exchange that will not delist Monero anywhere ever is Haveno.
Haveno, how we doing with Haveno? I know you've been following it closely.
Yes, I have. We have an average of 55 to 58 offers. I generally like to check the 7-day average every Monday, and I did it again this morning just to see, even though I don't have a full 7 days worth of data this week so far. I've only got 5. But so far, I'm at like 58 on average offers, and we're at like 430, 440 Monero at times worth of liquidity on the exchange. So it's definitely growing. In just a month, it's done, it's went from 0 to having 50 offers on average.
What would you say is the most popular use case for it right now? People going, from Bitcoin to Monero, cash to Monero, and then what means are they using?
It seems like a lot of Euro to Monero trades and a lot of like Bitcoin and Litecoin to Monero trades, actually. Like there's actually less US dollar trades than I thought there would be so far.
And then the Euro to Monero trades, what means are they using? Are they using like...
they're using a lot of SEPA and TransferWise. Okay.
Interesting. Very cool.
And they just added in version 1.0.7 released a couple days ago, they just added PayPal and Cash App and Venmo for the US because those are really popular payment methods here.
Awesome to see. People are interacting with XMR Bazaar in that way as well. We're just trying to keep it measured and do things in the most legal way possible, right? Especially as we try to figure things out. So just making it very clear that if anybody is looking to swap anything, whether it's gold backs for Monero or silver for Monero or euros for Monero, that you make it very clear that it's for personal use. XMR Bazaar for things like that. You shouldn't be on there as a business. You might be in the business of selling soap for Monero. That's fine. But you shouldn't be in the business of trading, selling Monero for cash or buying Monero for cash. You can go on there and out of personal use, make a listing. Maybe you're all Monero and you do need to move into cash at times to live. by all means, make those. I'd say we could justify those listings, but make that clear. Make that even clearer in your listing, in your post, in your description. You shouldn't be on there as a business, because that's clearly not legal, as we've learned.
What you do is
I've been giving that advice for many years, as I've seen what's happened on local Monero.
And people just don't want to listen.
Look up the gematria of the serial numbers on your USD, and then say rare United States dollar has the gematria of these words. I'm willing to trade it at its face value for those who are interested in collecting unique gematria of these particular printed notes. And it's a collectible.
I'm actually obsessed with that myself. Yeah, that's a collection I got going. It's one of my.
You wouldn't believe how many Monero free thinkers are really into the gematria. And remember, there's more than 3 languages. Everybody just uses English and Greek and Hebrew. But think of all of the different languages where you can make the gematria out of just about any number. And I'm just saying, people, like, those are collectibles, those serial numbers. Now, Monero, unfortunately, does not allow you to have collectible gematria because all Monero is exactly the same. So,
yes. You just gave me a thought. That's another thing at the PorcFest tent, the Monero tent. Anybody that's looking to sell their goldbacks, I have a personal need for goldbacks right now. I'd be looking to buy them with Monero. Once again, I'm not in the business of selling Monero for goldbacks, but I do currently need some goldbacks. So anybody at PorcFest that wants to come, sell me their goldbacks for Monero, please find me there. So that'll be happening.
You may not have sold a few at MoneroCon. Maybe.
Yeah, I sold. People wanted my goldbacks. That was the thing in Europe. Also surprised to learn. So everybody thinks Mexico is like freaking, it's like going into a war zone. It's not. It's not. And surprised by the amount of people who were not yet aware of goldbacks. MrWonderland, maybe you have some insight into that. You're obviously very well aware. You're a PorcFest guy, but goldbacks has not really made its way to Europe yet, and people's eyes light up when they see them for sure. Anybody I was talking to over there,
everyone I talked to, like, I think knew what they were, and they wanted.
But they had never seen one.
I hadn't seen one. Yeah. They wanted to buy one from me because I had some.
Yeah.
I might be able to hook you up with someone that wants one. Would you sell some a bigger amount of goldbacks for some Monero? I think.
All right. Yeah, and I'll just have it as a steady thing going on. So for any noobs that have a personal need for obtaining their first Monero,
before goldbacks, if Tux or you, Doug, want to show the link that I just put up in chat, there's an Irish version of the goldback that I was using for I was allegedly using for quite a while before, good old US of A. It became more popular to use goldbacks, but I put a link up. It's the European version of the goldback.
This is like similar technology. Is it?
Just put it up on screen real quick. I just put it up on the chat.
Yeah, put it up.
Oh, and speaking of XMR Bazaar, I actually have made one purchase from there so far, and it went decently well. There was some small bugs, but we got it worked out in the end.
If you don't mind me asking, was it a digital purchase or what?
I had somebody buy me a music album.
Okay. What were the little issues you faced as you went along? You did direct, or obviously I don't think you did escrow, right?
Yeah, I did it direct, because that's what the person wanted. I said that I would do either escrow or direct, and they chose direct, because they had heard me on here actually and they said they knew I was legit, and I'm like, please don't ever trust me again. Like, I'm gonna make sure you get your Monero, but please never trust anybody you meet on the internet again. Just take that into account. But the issues were that they at the time couldn't access the private messenger. Like, I tried to message them the details, and it would not load for them. And so I ended up giving them my email over the troll box chat and just being
I don't know why
email me.
Like I said, I'm the most like tech illiterate person And I got my messenger up and running very easily. And you just got to write down the key. Make sure you write down the key. And if you ever, sometimes you just have to restore it, right? Or you jump on a new computer, a new browser, you cleared your browser history. It's just going to ask you to re-input your key. And as long as you wrote it down, all your messages pop back up.
Yeah, something
I wonder what issue they're having. Yeah,
he was getting an error. I think I think from what I understand, it has since been fixed or is being in the process of being fixed. But it was something to the effect of it was telling him that I did not have a key set up when I clearly did. So it was something going wrong.
Yes, so, I've seen that. I've seen that error too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was going on, but we got it sorted out via just email. So I just put my email in the troll box, and he emailed me, and we got it done that way.
Yeah, but overall, something that I think a lot of people don't understand about the open source technology community and the small time developer community is one uphill battle that we will always face is people need to voluntarily help beta test stuff, because any software that isn't constantly 100%. Collecting your data will have it's not a big disadvantage, but it's a disadvantage as far as like fixing these kinds of issues. So people need to voluntarily participate in helping the beta testing of these things and make a point to make bug reports, try to be as clear and concise as possible. Software development, no software engineer is going to be able to come up with all of the what ifs. The beta testing phase is vital, and this is why as many people as possible should be participating in this, so we can get a smooth process going by the time we have to be ready for the inevitable day in which people are looking for an alternative with parallel economies. If we're going to do that, that means that we have to have software like this in place, ready to go. And in order for it to be ready to go, people have to help beta test. They have to work through the issues that are natural with any new software implementation. So I urge anybody to get on XMR Bazaar, give it a try, report any bugs that you find, and just create a larger body of data that the engineers can actually look at and verify that things are functioning the way that they intend to or not.
Exactly.
I purchased cheese this week on XMR Bazaar.
Did you really?
It was super easy. So we didn't do escrow. He had direct setup.
Where does he sell cheese at? In New York?
What's that?
How do you ship it?
He's shipping it from the Netherlands.
Whoa, so, that's gonna be a hard thing to do. Shipping food.
Cheese isn't that bad.
Cheese is not that bad.
Yeah, so I paid him. It hasn't shipped yet. Once it ships, he'll mark this as being shipping in progress. But it's actually a very smooth interface making a transaction, especially when you have direct. I haven't done the escrow yet. I mean, I did it during testing, but I haven't used it on here yet. But doing direct payment on XMR Bazaar is actually very smooth. I also did a digital purchase. This was like super smooth. You just send your Monero, and it gave me a file to a link to download files. I brought like 150 plus libertarian books in a catalog, and it was instant, very cool, worked very well. But yeah, the more people that test, the better. We're watching it happen in real time. Thankfully, Anarchio is sticking around and continuing to work on it. He's very happy, I think, with seeing the progress that's being made. He originally made Pateo, and then we turned it into this. I hired him to redevelop everything, and I think he's very happy to see it come to fruition. So he's actively, I'm still paying him on a monthly basis. He is working for XMR, working for me to continue to develop it. So any changes you have, we'll try to iterate on the fly and evolve this thing into what it needs to be to succeed. But all the basic bells and whistles are there, and it's fully functional for you to go on and buy and sell any good or service. It works, guys. It works. And the escrow, be a little careful with the escrow. We definitely need to test that a little bit. Anarchio is concerned that it hasn't been tested well enough. So user beware with regards to the escrow, but definitely give it a test, give it a shot.
I was AFK earlier. What was that Irish goldback that you guys were looking at?
Yeah, let me bring that back up. Here we go.
So it's my understanding is there's like a independence movement in Ireland that encouraged the development of this particular gold-backed currency. I could be wrong, but the point is I was using them for quite some time before goldbacks became a thing here. And they work. They're denominated in European currency instead of.
I see.
But that said, I don't know how well the operation is doing in the current situation. I just wanted to make people aware of the fact that goldbacks are not the only thing.
That might be something to ask somebody like Rachel Rose O'Leary, because I think she's Irish, isn't she?
I believe so.
Yes,
so
definitely sounds Irish.
That might that might be something to ask her.
She was at MoneroCon. I bought their latest book off of her. Very excited to have that. I'm gonna ask the Goldbacks guy about this. I'm sure I'll see him at PorcFest.
And two Alaskans.
The thing is like the technology that's used to manufacture goldbacks is a little more bleeding edge, a little more.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is it basically the same tech, or is it a completely different like method thing?
No, I mean it's the same concept, but I mean the goldbacks guys like really. I mean, you guys have all used them. I'm sure they're pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So, but this did work. And the other thing that I do like about these ones that I don't like as much about goldbacks is the form factor. Goldbacks are trying to emulate US dollars, but I think that these guys had a different form factor that makes more sense. I'm not even really a big fan of the dimensions of dollars, and then goldbacks, they just get thicker and thicker as you go up, which makes sense because you have a larger quantity of gold. But I don't really see a problem with not preserving the same dimensions versus just making them more convenient form factors. That's probably just a personal gripe or whatever. I'm sure some aesthetics individual will point out some reason, blah, 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 marketing. But
you do have a good point, because like if you try to put a gold back in your wallet, it's going to fold down the middle, and that seems to be okay. It seems to not cause a problem, but it is going to have a crease there from your wallet closing on it or whatever.
Well, the more you do it, the more that, because gold is such a soft metal that it will split within the plastic, and eventually you'll have like a line where the gold pushes off to both sides. In fact, I've seen goldbacks circulated amongst a small group of people over and over and over again, and you can pretty much tell the dimensions of all the different wallets that have had them. Yeah. So, but the thing is that's one of the reasons why goldbacks, like, they have their own wallet to keep them straight. But then the problem is now you're carrying around another wallet. And that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why when I talk to people who are goldbacks people, I try to explain to them that like Monero is just a natural partner to this. But the other thing is a lot of people think that Monero transactions are more viable in all situations than they actually are. But you put the two together and then you have yourself like a far better economic foundation than any fiat does. Because in fiat, you've got your digital banking system and then you've got your paper notes. But paper notes being all like serialized and non-reducible and inflatable and all that, we all know those things. And then with the banking system, the custodial layers.
Hello.
Go ahead, dude.
I just wanted to say that this piece here, it's completely decorational. It's rec. Wait a second. Rec. Protecto Automatic, made in Germany, and it's fully only for decorational purposes. And it was given to me and my wife, and now it's mine. It's only for but just for the show, it doesn't even have a magazine,
All of my decorational pieces.
It doesn't work. It's just decoration. It has this thing, like, but it was given to me by the landlord. So the landlord gave it to me. It's completely legal. There's nothing to it. It's just for decoration, and my wife. So I'm not a gun owner. So thanks. Thanks so much, and thanks, Doug, for everything you do and for the show and for Monero Con. Last 2 weeks were like Christmas for me. Thanks so much, man.
Awesome. You were tuning in. You were watching it. Yeah, it was epic. What was your favorite part of Monero Con? You watched all the Luke talks?
Well, the wind in the football fields. I don't know. Everything, like I couldn't go there, and yeah, but I mean, there are biblical references. I guess the last Kainon has about Elias. I don't know, like
we talked about Elias's idea for like 3 hours after a show one time, and I was just pointing out how Elias from the Bible and like what it means and where. But it was funny because Slave Blocker was talking. It's almost like the guy's talking to God. I mean, how could somebody come up with such an idea? I was like, that's kind of what happened with Elias in the Bible. And then I started breaking it down a little bit more about how like it's an appropriate name for a man such as himself. That's for sure.
Well, let's get him up here. Let's get him. Elias, what's going on, man?
Let us know.
Let me bring you up. Wait, I think
Your
you're
mic
muted.
is muted. Are you muted, buddy?
Doesn't look like he's muted. It's just his mic is not working.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I might want to try and fix
I'm trying to get Elias down to Monerotopia, Mexico.
On the topic of goldbacks, it's like 100% markup from the spot price of gold. So, I mean, it's great for utility, but constitutional silver, as far as low denominations, is a lot closer to spot and a lot closer to the real value, the melt value.
Yes, but the goldbacks premium actually seems to stay. So it's not like if you buy a goldback today at 2 times spot that it's going to be worth spot tomorrow. That doesn't happen. It actually seems to retain that extreme premium over spot price, and it doesn't drop that. So
yeah, the other thing that I'd point out is spot is a one-way transaction. Like dealers usually pay spot, and then normal people pay spot plus premium. But the thing is with goldbacks, instead of, for example, transaction fees or premiums versus spot, they pretty much just hold the value that they actually have. So it's like the anti-transaction fee, and it's also the anti-premium. So when people buy goldbacks over the value of the gold, then they trade those goldbacks at the same price as what they paid. I'm not saying that there's not, the premise that you're saying holds true for sure. I agree.
Again here, do you hear me now?
Oh, it's amazing.
Yes, we got you.
Shut up because you're the star of the show, bro. Let her rip.
How's it going?
Okay, so hello. Nice to see you guys. I just wanted to say that I thought more about that idea, and I made an updated version of the paper. That's because of how that archive page works. It's on the same URL as before, but if you go there again now, depending on if you already had it in your browser, perhaps you need to refresh. But now there's a version that's called V3, and it says June 12.
Can somebody message it to me? Put it in the chat, guys. Put the link in the chat.
He sent it in the private chat, Doug.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you could put that in show notes or something for people to see. I just want to say, for anyone who heard about the idea before, then please look at the updated version now. It's there's one important thing that I changed.
Hello, Elias. What an honor
Hi.
to speak to you. There was a version 2, right? You updated to version 3?
Yes, so now it's called version 3 instead, and that's from a few days ago. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. That's shown on the screen now. So you see it says V3. That's the new one now. And now the thing I realized, if I can explain that real quick, I don't know, you have time for that?
Please do.
Yeah, so
this is the latest version I have up right now?
Yeah, so you see it says June 14 there. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, exactly. Yes. It's this one. So perhaps if you scroll down to the picture where you see the 3 chains in parallel. Just next page.
Oh, in parallel.
So
there you go.
Here, yeah. So that was the one that it looks different now, because what I realized was that so before the idea was that you should have proof of work in sort of 2 phases. First, you get the ticket, and then when you have a ticket, then you have to do some more work, right? That was the idea. But now when I started to think about more the specifics of it, how precisely would you choose the difficulty for that, then it turns out that it doesn't really work well to have it like that, because you can't really say what the difficulty should be. I don't know how to explain that. It's well, you know, in the normal scenario with a blockchain, it's like for an individual miner, it's a very rare event that you find a block, right? It's something you try to do all the time, and very rarely it happens. So let's say, for example, perhaps you've been trying for a month, and then you get a block after a month of trying. But on average, for the whole network, then it happens every 2 minutes on average that someone finds a block, right? That's how it works. But so when one miner succeeded then to, in my case here, it's what they succeed to do is to find a ticket. So then they say, okay, now I have a ticket. But then it's not feasible for them to work for a month again, right? It would have to be some smaller work. But how do you define that? And for some miners who have a big operation with a whole cluster, then they will do that real quick. So it's not going to be fair. So you can't really do it like that, I think. So therefore, I came up with a solution for that. That is to, instead of having a second proof of work phase, instead of that, you instead create a key pair, public and private key for each block that's going to be created. And you embed the public key inside the ticket, so that with the private key, you can then make a signature that proves that this block was made by the person whoever made the ticket. So that's how it's described in this new version of the paper. But otherwise, the idea of having the chains in parallel and having the ticket functions so that it means that the miner cannot choose which chain you're going to add a block to. That's still the same.
And just take a step back for one moment again, just to give the pitches to what problem this solves, this proposal that you have here.
Yeah, so it
relevant to Monero.
Yeah, it aims to solve the problem with scalability that comes from the fact that with Monero or Bitcoin or whatever chain where you have only one chain, then the way the blockchain works is that there's only one block at a time that's being added. So it's a linear thing, right? And this means that if you have a lot of transactions that happen every minute, then all of those will have to fit into a single block. And this is fine if it's not too many transactions, but if you start to want to handle really large amounts of transactions, as would be needed if Monero was to be used by the whole population of the whole world, then it starts to be, billions of transactions per day or something like that. And then it's going to be a problem with scalability that you can't really have a single block be that large. I know that Monero has dynamic block size, so it can adapt much better than Bitcoin. But still, there's still a problem here. and this method is sort of suggesting a way to handle that. So to be able to handle larger transaction rates.
So
it would be nice to get Francisco in here and
sorry, Elias,
and Luke Parker. If anybody wants to try to get Luke Parker to jump in here right now, that'd be great to hear his comments.
I had a quick
feedback.
question, Elias. So you're talking about parallel chains, and so if you're coming from, say, I'm on one chain and Alaskadon's on another, and I want to buy a gold, a fictitious, a make-believe gold back, and have you addressed in this paper the movement from chain 0 to chain 1 to chain 3 or whatever, however many chains you get going in parallel at the same time?
No, I have not addressed that. So it's and that's a problem with this, a limitation, of course, that it from that perspective, this works in the same way as if you had just forked Monero into that number of chains. So you can only transact within one of the chains. And if you're going to use this in practice, then what would happen is that you would have each person who holds some Monero would have some of it on one chain and some on the other chain and some perhaps on a third chain, and when you transact, you can only do transactions within, well, for a chain where you have something, and other people would need to accept. Yeah.
Also because it's genius and it's the most simple way to go to the end chain scenario. And yeah, the thing is that the medium is not the message. The message are the transactions, and the formal aspect of the chains or the multi-chains is to be considered is that there are n mempools, and zero confirmation on n mempools. That's an airy dynamic system, and it's of course important to have all outputs distinct from each mempool, and yeah, that's mandatory.
Yeah. So again, to try to answer that, it's it becomes the usage becomes different in that way, but I think it doesn't stop it from being used. I think of it a little bit like if you compare to cash. If I'm going to pay you with cash, then you don't require me to give you exactly one bill for the exact amount, right? I perhaps give you, I'm going to pay you 100, but maybe I give you 5 20s or whatever, or some other, and that's 5 different transactions, right? In a way, I give you 120 and another 20 and another 20. So you transfer what you need to transfer in. Well, perhaps it's going to happen in a few parts, depending on what. Well, in this case, with the different chains, depending on what was possible for you, depending on which chains you had some funds on. So, but I think it would still be possible.
Elias, John Doe is saying this can't fix disk space and bandwidth issues. What's your response to that? Obviously, you're solving on-chain scalability, but not the ability of the network itself to scale, is what they're saying.
Yes, it's true in a way, but this is something I discussed this a bit on Matrix.
If I could help a little bit.
Okay.
Thanks. So what is proposed here is paramount. Even if you have n mempools, you do have zero conf on n mempools. That means that to attack one chain, that means the 51% attack on one chain, you have to choose it. Let's say I buy a Lambo from you and I make the transaction. I need to choose that block where the transaction is supposed to be rewritten. That's the most important thing. You have to choose one block to rewrite, and then even better, to put one block on top. To do that, you need an average of the number of chains times the harmonic times 2 to put the block on top and to propagate it. So Elias just
it's to the
vanished
power of 2
the
to put the block
51% attack. The 51% attack is not possible anymore. And in the ideal of the atomic clock, of making it layer by layer, this doesn't work, because the amount of last blocks in the current layer are, let's say that the n chains have each one k number of last blocks. That makes k to the power of n, because you have n chains, k amount of last blocks times k amount of last blocks times k amount of last blocks, n times the amount of layers. So you're just going open parentheses k to the power of n, close parentheses, to the power of l. And that's a predator. It's going to be on the corner and just rip your face apart. So Monero is not going to go layer by layer. What it's going to go is fully just let it run. And if you let it run, it's going to be completely unattackable. There is no attack against Monero anymore.
I think there is, though. I think there's some misunderstanding there, because a 51% attack will still be possible. It's just that all miners help out to protect all of the chains. So it's not like it's easier to just pick one chain to attack that. You still have to sort of attack the whole network. So it's good in that way, but it is still possible to have a 51% attack. I don't think this will solve that.
I just want to point out that, like, for one, the attempt, with all due respect, John Doe, is not to fix the disk space and bandwidth issues. But I'd point out, number one, it would have a positive effect on bandwidth issues. And then for two, there already exists a laundry list of disk space fix solutions. And Monero has never had a problem with disk space problems. And the speed at which, disk space is made available, even on just a simple phone, it is extremely unlikely that Monero will have disk space problems even in 100 years. And it only takes one simple prune to undo whatever disk space problems may exist with Monero. And then as far as bandwidth issues go, it's not even just the recent headline about like being able to 1,000-fold bandwidth questions with existing technologies, but then on top of that, with issues like Splinternet, I mean, the Orwellian technocratic overlords seem to want to help us fix our bandwidth issues. So I really don't. And on top of that, this particular proposal is more or less about scaling and security, mostly scaling. And scaling is the actual question right now. Like, the most likely scenario for Monero not being able to do what we hope it to be able to do is its ability to scale its number of transactions worldwide. And the ticket solution is the best proposal I have seen so far to rapidly. And honestly, the only other one that I've seen that is like highly viable would probably be Arctic Mine bringing GPUs into the fold. And honestly, they're not mutually exclusive either. So, but if we were to fix the scaling issue, you would also create the economic incentives for there to be a far greater technological
Sorry, excuse
solution.
me. There is no 51% attack anymore if you adopt the multi-chain aspect. There is none. I don't know where the fuzz is about. The thing is, if we do it by layers, it doesn't work, because the last block, as I said, mined by each layer is in each chain is k, and you multiply it by n. So it's k to the power of n, one layer. So that's an animal you cannot tame. So
well, he's saying that
the
what
other
makes it so
aspect is you just
possible
let
is
the
just
thing
going
run.
for the
You
whole-
just let the thing
whole
run.
mining operation. If you went for
Homie,
all of the
homie,
miners,
you
that
just
would
let
be
the
the only
thing
way to do
run.
it.
That's what I'm saying. You let the ODYSEE's idea run. The idea of the concept of fresh tickets, man. This is like so epic because you have to give the system a little bit of slack, you know, to operate. It's like a self-adapting inwardly sand clock. That's what it is. It works.
Slave blocker. With all due respect, if Elias, the creator of this, says there might be a misunderstanding and 51% attacks are still possible, I'm leaning towards like believing this guy that they are still possible, even though they are like much more expensive to do.
Maybe
Well,
I can
yeah, they are
explain
way
why.
more though, way more expensive. And what he's saying is it's already really hard to do now. So it's like, and I would agree.
No, and
in
let
the
me
sense
make
that,
this
like,
point.
it
One
makes
thing
it
is
so
let's
much
not
harder to do.
again, let's not ignore the medium for the message because it's the transactions. If you have 3 side confirmations on one block, you could say, okay, as a protocol, you ignore that new block that needs to be rewritten because you want to attack it, and I'm going to send you to another place. And now instead of Monero, we have another thing which starts with M and ends with O, which is Mikado. And now you have Mikado, you want to attack it, you're not going to attack it, nothing. And you can discuss with me, no problem. I love you all. Mikado, Monero, acabou. end of fiat.
Well, on that we agree.
On the
Okay,
note of, sorry, Elias, go.
Yeah. So I want to say one thing about the question that came up about bandwidth. That this method it sort of provides an advantage for that as well. If we think about how a miner can segment their operation with this, because even though a miner, if I'm a miner, then I need to have somehow access to the data in all the chains because I want to put all those hashes into the new ticket that I create. But I don't have to have them on the same machine. So I could have, if we take a simple case with just 2 chains, then I could have 2 different computers that are connected to the internet in different places. They can even be in different cities or different countries. It's just that I control them both. And then on one of them, I have the data of one chain, and on the other one, I have the other chain. So then I will only need to communicate the data relevant to one of the chains from one computer and the other one from the other computer. So that helps me with the bandwidth. And then I will coordinate how they run the computations so that they will communicate to each other the hashes they need to make a new ticket. And then when one of them succeeds in creating a ticket, then if it turns out that the ticket is for the other chain, then it will just send the ticket over to the other computer that will make use of it to make a block for its chain. So then we have actually found a way to also help with the bandwidth issues.
And as far as the disk space thing goes, this isn't ready for consumer. This isn't a consumer product yet, but I've heard that people are testing like 3D laser etching of data into like crystals, and that they can hold like petabytes worth of data on something the equivalent of a CD-ROM, like a CD, like the old CD-ROMs or whatever. The something that size or whatever made into a 3D disk etched with data through laser light can hold like petabytes worth of data. So we're unlikely to hit any storage constraints anytime soon.
Yeah, and the thing
Surfer,
is, it only needs to
supply an address so I can buy you a lunch at Monerotopia because I believe you should go there. In the private chat, just an address so I can tip you a lunch. That's nice.
The thing about the storage is if storage were actually a problem, which I'm still super convinced is ridiculous, right? Like this idea Bitcoin is better than Monero because it's a bloated blockchain. It's like it's ridiculous. It's like such a tiny amount of data relative to, I mean, even like a video game server or something like that. It's not even close. But the thing is and the crystal etching is not the only technology available. But the other thing is if this actually did become an issue, which it won't, but even if it did, you don't have to have all of the data, like Elias was saying, on the same computer as the one that you're mining. You don't have to have all of the data on your phone just to make a transaction. Like, and you know, there could be like one guy hosting the data for 5 or 6 miners. Or
what's going on? But there is a problem though with the Elias's thing, is that you have n outputs. So you have effectively, and it doesn't matter if you use ring CT or if you use FCMP. Doesn't matter, because if I'm at the ith chain, I make some outputs, I put them together, I send them out. You use the jth chain, use some outputs, and you make a block, you send it out. Now they both get mined and we have conflicting outputs. So this does not work. We have to have outputs on the same chain, so there is no conflict. That's the logic. So there will be, and this improves on the fungibility of Monero, because thank God we are different, and therefore the outputs will be sorted by mempools, and these mempools will in a wider range, every mempool for every chain will discriminate upon the fungibility of the static of the output, because that's the way it's sorted. How else are you going to do it?
I mean, it definitely overall, it makes a great case for the underlying goals of Monero, right? I mean, you increase fungibility, you increase security. It has a positive effect on the difficulty of attacking the chain. It has a huge effect on scaling, which, let's not lose sight of the fact that if the goal is parallel economy, digital cash, privacy, the scale question is the one thing standing on our way of saying, what the hell is a Visa, right? Like, it's, as soon as you have the scalability that, you know, I mean, you honestly, it only takes a couple of chains to make the scalability in such a way where.
And what is the ugly question that no one is asking? Why do you pay fees to keep your money in the bank or your currency in a bank? Like I pay, I think, €1 to keep it in Volksbank in Germany. So why not just keep it?
Wait. You keep your money in a bank? Are you nuts?
No. I mean, if I would, I keep a bank account. I keep a bank account and I pay €1 for it in Volksbank Germany, and like just for the utility, then I would have to make one transaction, like, you know, that thing of halving the chain. So what are you keeping your money in a bank for? But yeah, thanks so much.
What's this thing called, a bank of which you speak?
I think it's like the thing that holds water.
Shortwave surfer, I wanted to correct you upon one point, which is, do you know what is a fluffy block?
No, that is beyond my technical abilities. Like, for example, in MoneroCon, I did not watch the technical talks from like Luke or whatever, because it would have gone right the heck over my head. So no.
A fluffy block is simple. It's just the hash of the header plus all the lists of transaction IDs. So that's the way Monero block is propagated. It's the hash of the header, or the header, and the list of the transaction IDs. I'm not quite sure, but that's the compacted way to transfer information of a block across the network. And last time you said that about Elias, it's not quite true, because you would need 332 megabytes to transmit data. You would only need a fraction of that. And that's the great part. That's the great part. because if I get the side confirmation, I see I might get something of Slack where I got the side confirmation, but I don't yet have that block. So I wanna download it. That's a great feature. That's a great feature of ODYSEE software.
Okay, good. I'm glad I was wrong.
I thought I would answer John Doe's question. The tickets are not the blocks. The ticket is a means by which you gain access to mining the blocks. And the premise behind the ticket is, for one, preventing people from piling into one blockchain. And then for two, it's to prove that they fairly acquired their ticket. But the blocks themselves lose no. That was the first question I asked a couple of weeks ago when he came onto the show, was, do we stand to lose any of the fungibility or any of the privacy? Can you just track a ticket instead of a transaction? No. The tickets, the premise behind the ticket is purely how a miner gains access to a chain to mine. So I've thought really hard about it. I can see no way.
It's the fresh perspective of the snapshot.
Yeah, I can see no way that your actual outputs, the actual Monero that you are using to be spent, will have its privacy or fungibility affected in any way by the ticket system. Now, I would like to see other people from a technical perspective see if there's any metadata in their outputs when it comes to implementation. But
it's just like a snapshot.
Yeah, as far as I can
tell,
you start
mining your chain, and it needs to be fresh because you're keeping track of a ledger, and that ledger needs to go over time. And at that time, you have a watch which has a battery, and so it has power, so it goes. You make proof of work, and therefore you have to create your ticket, and it's a subjective thing. You can put all sorts of trash in it, but it needs to be fresh with the uppest layer of the last blocks for yourself and for the others. And you have to leave a little bit of slack in it. That's why we all live in a sand clock. The universe is a sand clock. I'm totally, convinced by this.
To answer the second part of the question from John Doe here, is there a way to transfer XMR between chains? Then the answer is no. So you will just transact within one of the chains. But there is no, I don't really see any reason why the Monero on the different chains would be worth different. That's, I guess, a little bit like the question of ordinals, that someone might try to come up with a reason why they would regard.
No. The thing to mention here, the greatness of his thing is that what did he diminish in terms of forks? Because the amount of people working on a chain just got reduced, and they enter in an asynchronous way. When I start mining a chain, one MFer might have started in an asynchronous way 30 seconds ago from me, and I don't know about it. So that reduces the amount of forks in an analog fashion. So death to fiat. There is no option anymore. There is no 51% attack. It's n times 2 the harmonic. Send me an email to debate this. There is no debate. Death to fiat.
Okay, so I do see one. I do have one potential question then. If Alaska is on chain A, and I want to pay him, and I have half a Monero, like I want to pay him 1 Monero, right? And Alaska is on chain A, and I want to pay him 1 Monero, but I have half a Monero on chain A and half a Monero on chain B. From what I understand, I can't make that payment to him of 1 Monero because I only have half a Monero on chain A. So I could not make that transaction.
You make 2 transactions, homie. You make one transaction from 0.5 on chain I and 0.5 on chain J. That's not the problem. The fees are like, imagine today, just as a fact, not to be embarrassing or something, like if you divide 8 billion people by 21 million, it gives 0.0000025. Yeah? And if you take the fees, it's much lesser than that. So there is enough. No, 0.0025 is the amount per Monerian in the world, and 4 zeros is the fee. So there is no problem. We are all going to make 25 transactions without a problem in Monero today.
Yeah,
wait, let Elias answer Shortwave's question though. Let's let him answer.
So I'll answer it as well. Then, so in that scenario that you said that the last case on one of the chains and you are on another of the chains, but that's not how it needs to work. It's Alaska is not on one chain. Alaska is on all chains. So Alaska will need to provide you a recipient address for each chain so that he can receive funds wherever you choose to send them. That's how I would look at it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So I would send.
Yeah, because you're not on a chain; you're receiving outputs from a chain to your address. Like it's not like you're on one chain and that is Monero, and then there's another chain called Monero B. The chains are just like the continuation of outputs, and outputs are the actual currency. It doesn't really matter what chain it comes from.
Okay, that's cool.
And I think in MoneroLand, it's already standard to have. I mean, you create new addresses all the time with these stealth addresses and so on. So I guess it's not a big deal in that way.
One thing that I'd point out with all of this is really just an evolution of stuff that's already happening on Monero. It's just using some of the underlying premise of things that we use Monero and the way that we use Monero. It's like doing it bigger in order to improve scalability. Like the parallel chain thing, and when he first brought it up, I pointed out, like, there's other people that use variations of blockchains in a similar fashion, and it's been working for them for a very long time. And this is just, all of these are proven techniques, which is another reason why I really, really like this idea. Is there's not one particular thing in here that is novel. It's just a reorganization of techniques that have been proven to work in order to make a more scalable Monero.
Elias, sorry. Are you saying that one block can contain multiple outputs from multiple chains?
No.
No, the wallet can.
The wallet, of course. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. A transaction needs to have all the outputs from one chain, and another transaction has the outputs from another chain. That's not a problem. And it's great. And it prevents the 51% attack. And it's just, it's like the end of the beginning. That's all I have to say to it.
That might have already been discussed. I haven't seen the complete show, so excuse me on that. But Rupnium made a post about the StressNet that's about to getting launched for some testing about the scalability in the current setup. So if anyone, I wanted to raise some awareness for this. So if anyone have the resources, like to host the StressNet node, that might be very helpful for the devs. So.
Yeah, hey, good afternoon, everybody. If my audio is coming through clearly, I wanted to hop on today and discuss that. I'm taking a pretty central role of that project, and was hoping to discuss it here with you all today.
You sound great. Fire away.
Yeah, perfect. So the simple bottom line is we're looking to improve the performance of the Monero node software, the Monero daemon, and this is something that's sort of that is important as we're looking to these future upgrades. Everybody's talking about the full chain membership proofs, obviously, but there's a potential for forking to a larger ring size before we get there. Best prediction for FCMP that I've seen is about 1 year, 3 months out. For fork scheduling, we could get larger rings within, let's say, 8 months if things go well. So the bottom line is we've set up a separate test net by forking Monero's main test net that people can show up on, and we're going to drive the software to extremes. So there'll be massive transaction volumes, very large blocks over time, essentially trying to stress test the software in every way imaginable. As part of that, and seeing the discussions from Selsta and other developers, we have this current set of bottlenecks that people may have recall that there were service slowdowns during mainnet flooding, and they're only really observable under extreme conditions and with a fair number of connections on a given node. So we want this additional testing network, the stress net, to be as robust as possible. Having recently checked at last count, we're up to 35 nodes, so it's going quite well, I would say. Participation is very high, but if you're interested in participating in improving the Monero software, and even if you just are curious about your own hardware and how it might respond under some of the extreme conditions that might show up in the fullness of time, then I would strongly encourage you, please participate in the StressNet. My plan is to begin hitting it essentially this Wednesday, and it would be absolutely best if you're planning on taking part to have a node running and have it synced by Wednesday, because node performance is going, I believe, to be somewhat challenged by what we're going to throw at it. So attempting to sync from scratch at that point may be a difficult endeavor. But you can get online now. If you look, there have been posts. I know.
Can you drop the link? Can you drop the link in the chat? That's so cool that you jumped on. By the way, thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So
where the hell else would he go to announce this? Just wonder.
He's throwing a bowling ball through the floor.
Something like that. So there are posts on. I threw up one on Reddit. I know Rucknium had essentially the same post that he put onto Monero.town. I believe there's also a Twitter announcement. I'm sorry to say I don't have those links directly handy. It's on my GitHub. Should have had that ready for you. I apologize. But if you do go to the Monero subreddit, then you'll see it should be relatively close to the top announcement for the Monero StressNet. The link to the GitHub is in there. There are instructions. The README has been modified so that you can see. I've published sort of the executables binaries for the most common processor architecture for Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. So it's not like you're gonna, everybody's gonna have to build this for themselves. Maybe if you're going for something a little bit unique, then that's not something that I included in the original release, or I should say was included in the original release, because I'm not the only person who's been working on this. But that's the full case of what's going on. If you're curious about what the network is currently up to, you can go to explorer.stressnet.net, and Rucknium was kind enough to set up a Explorer for the StressNet there. You can see it chugging along through current blocks, just like the other mainnet and testnet Explorers. And I think that's a decent covering of what we're up to here. I'll just say very quickly, assuming this goes well, the plan, as I've tried to imagine it, and as others have shared with me, is we're going to stress test and hopefully be able to identify, or at least give developers some indication of what they could pay attention to within the daemon software itself by the end of June. If the developers are then able to attend to those items by the end of July, at that point, then all of the scalability modifications that Arctic Mind has been working on, all of the ring size research and black marble attack defense research that Rucknium has been doing, all of that input can come together, and we could schedule a fork. I believe the standard lead time on that is 6 months. And let's say something like March 2025, Monero could have an intermediate fork to larger rings, as well as performing some of the other tweaks that are likely going to be needed anyway, because you're talking about transaction size modifications and the rest of it when full chain membership proofs are released. And that can give you, a significant lead time. There's a good 6-month window or something like that. Again, if you're talking full chain membership proofs 1 year, 3 months out, then you have the opportunity to hit that stepping stone. And obviously, the wider point is that improving the daemon is a worthwhile endeavor, regardless. You know, if Monero nodes are more efficient, able to handle higher traffic more easily, then that benefits everybody, right? And when we talk about participation, part of what I wanted to come on here today was, you know, obviously we put posts up on Reddit, and I've been active on IRC, you know, Monero.social, the text channels, but I don't necessarily have the reach out to all of the industry partners that, you know, are around Monero. And I just wanted to, you know, advertise at the very least to them specifically here that, you know, I'm sure that during mainnet flooding, there were some technical challenges that you may have had, service slowdowns, anything like that. And if you're interested in, you know, sort of something that you can do about it, then here's an option. And that's something I would very much encourage. I'd very much welcome, and hopefully I'll see you all on the StressNet.
Awesome.
Count me in, dude.
What'd you say your name was, or what should we refer to you as? Who are you?
Handle is the gamer tag is Spackle. So feel free to use that. That's what I use on GitHub. That's what I use on IRC.
Cool, man.
That's it.
So, have you done? Have you made commits to Monero to date?
Not to the main repository, no. Obviously, in the course of setting up the StressNet, I had to perform modifications. I had to fork the testnet, as well as going through the process of getting Gideon builds and the rest of that. Selsta was kind enough to help me on that. Thank you very much, Selsta.
So cool.
Whoever's got speakers on, please mute.
But yeah, in terms of, you know, am I an actual Monero developer? If I am, I'm the worst one. I haven't done anything of note to the repository itself, but you have the surrounding software. I saw Comrade Blenny mentioned, you know, previously I had written some wallet churning and automation software just around the idea of sort of pocket change and how you could split and manage wallets and that sort of thing. I took all that down whenever the mainnet flooding was taking place because, frankly, wallet automation software can be used for that sort of thing, and I didn't want to, let's say, leave the door open to a curious adventurer to what I was doing. But it's out there anyway. I just didn't want that up myself, and honestly, it's just not. It's not something I see important in the grand scheme of things. So hopefully that addresses that thought.
Is there any hardware in particular you're looking to add to this? Like a specific hardware that you're trying to test?
I mean, it's an interesting question. The bottom line is we saw issues on mainnet, and a big motivation for this is that those issues have been hard to reproduce, right? And this includes setting up private testnets. You know, if you're curious, you absolutely can download the Monero software, and you can run a private testnet that's just on a machine, local on your home network, or even just on that machine by itself. And I was trying to reproduce these issues. I launched 10 nodes, and I hit the mempool very hard, you know, hundreds of megabytes, that sort of thing. And I was unable to reproduce that issue on my hardware. All that to say that in order to reproduce whatever happened on mainnet, my personal opinion, and this is just a hypothesis, it would be best to replicate the conditions of mainnet as well as possible. Now, I think people are going to struggle. You know, if you're trying to run a node on a Raspberry Pi, it's probably going to have a nightmare of a time. But that could be a good thing, right? Because maybe some of the software bottlenecks that we're seeing come from having a large proportion of very low performance nodes on the network trying to suck data, and maybe it's those requests. You know, there's a lot of things that you could hypothesize. But
that actually dawned on me while all of that madhouse shit show was going on was, I wonder if the fact that like everything, you know, fridges and car radios and all that have been hacked to mine Monero, I wonder if just the fact that Monero has such a huge pool of like random fucking devices is like somehow contributing to the fact that we're seeing unique, I don't even want to call them issues, but unique, let's say hiccups, right? On mainnet.
No, you have the parameter, which is the amount of fastest machines mining Monero. And that's rising.
Well, yeah, but what
yesterday
really
it was 2.6 gigahashes, if I'm not mistaken.
But like, think about how many people have like, you know, 10-year-old ARM based. Well, I don't know if it's 10, but you get the idea. Like really old, you know, Raspberry Pis and like phones that are a decade old mining it and stuff. My curiosity was like, I wonder if that magnifies some of the things we were seeing during the slowdown of the network?
Yeah, it's an open question, right? And there's an awful lot that can be looked into. So I guess just returning to your original thought, what kind of hardware are we looking to run this? I've seen common recommendations for running a mainnet being we're looking for 2 cores, 4 gigabytes of RAM. The current StressNet, the testnet fork, is sitting at about 10 gigabytes, give or take. We're going to ramp that significantly here in the near future, but if you've got 50 gigabytes to spare on an SSD, then you're going to be well placed to run and participate in the network. So that would be a common mainnet setup. But again, maybe it's the Raspberry Pis on the mainnet or other low performance nodes, weak connections, what have you, that are contributing to this. And it's not necessarily just really high performance intense machines that we're going for. I personally ran that private, I've run a set of nodes on a very performant machine with 128 gigabytes of RAM. One of the things that we're trying to reproduce is an out of memory error. Well, when I have 128 gigabytes of RAM, I have seen excessive memory use. I had one instance of Monero D consuming roughly 72 gigabytes of RAM. But since I had 128 to spare, that didn't trigger an error. So all that to say, it's a fairly open field. I'm just, hypothesizing. There's a lot of other people who might have, other thoughts on it, what have you. But that's sort of the state of things.
And just to be clear, this is not us encouraging people not to use low-powered devices. This is not us telling anybody not to contribute to mainnet with whatever you have, because we honestly, I don't think anybody knows right now. And more nodes is generally better. But more or less, if I'm understanding correctly, the premise behind running this testnet, StressNet, is to see if the underlying software that runs Monero can be improved in its efficiency and quality, and if we can figure out exactly what caused previous congestion issues.
Well, I think we already know part of what that was, if you didn't talk about it already.
Tux, before you give that explanation, which I'm looking forward to hearing, I'm just gonna I'm not speaking from here on out. I'll just be listening to you guys in the background. Tux, can you close it out at some point?
Yeah, I can try to do that.
All right.
And everybody buy Monero Nodo. The demonstration is here on screen.
I brought it up. I figured a good point to shill.
Run a StressNet on the Nodo. See what happens.
Thank you to everybody that jumped up today. This is yet again another freaking amazing show. Honestly, fantastic.
Thank you, for what you do every day, Doug. Thank you.
Yeah, man, it's a product of love.
Thank you, Doug.
It's. I'm having trouble keeping.
I don't know why I have
Things...
400 likes on Twitter, and that doesn't matter. Thank you, Doug.
keep going. I'll be MrWonderland. I'll see you in a few days at PorcFest. Tux, if you can close it out, greatly appreciate it. I'll be listening to you guys in the background. Ciao.
Mm-hmm. We do have we've got Luke Parker in
shit, I'll definitely be listening in. Bring him up.
He's already up.
I want to hear his take on Elias's proposal, and perhaps this as well.
Yeah,
sure.
This show just got fucking lit.
Right. Later, guys. I'll be listening.
I'm going to say I do have a spare, I really need to do something with it, a spare Ryzen 9 7950X. I probably should put that on the StressNet, huh?
Oh, you're welcome to do so. That is the processor of the original machine I was running with. So yeah, it looks like a good thing so far. Honestly, the typical refrains that you've heard many times. Bandwidth is going to be a concern. There's going to be a lot of data, that sort of thing as well. So if you're mindful of all those things, and I'm more than confident that you're beyond familiar with all of that. But yeah, for anybody thinking of joining, we would be more than happy to have extremely performant hardware, whatever you got to throw at it. The real bottom line is these issues were observed on mainnet. Developers have had issues with reproducing those issues. If you look specifically, the one that I was referencing would be what is that, issue 9317 on the Monero project repo. That's the one in particular. But yeah, everyone's welcome. Would be great to see you there. So
I'm concerned for Tux's health if he adds another processor to his house, that he's going to die of heat stroke.
Well, that's pretty much why I have a dedicated window AC. Like, this house has central AC, but I have a window AC, a separate one in my room, because it gets way hotter than the rest of the house does, because I have around 4 computers running at any given time. So it is canon.
I'm gonna jump off so Blinn can jump on. Just saying, but I would love to continue to listen to what's going on here.
All right, I'll add Blinn back up. Let's come up, Blinn. Yeah, the whole node thing is crazy. I mean, we definitely observed. I think we got the brunt force of it at Cake with our public nodes, which part of the issues was due to our load balancer setup, but then one of the guys discovered what probably is some inefficiencies in the design of the Monero D, which is lots of locks and mutexes between RPC and P2P, which is causing the node to just be held up because of all the P2P traffic. It was preventing RPC from syncing reasonably at all. It makes perfect sense because RPC was working pretty much the entire time, but it was responding extremely slowly. And of course, when hundreds of people are trying to sync, that's a major issue.
Question to Speckle. You said that you want like some general hardware. I guess 3900X would be the best CPU for this test, maybe.
My message would be don't get too hung up on the hardware. If you can even try to sync, then it's all just part of a testing environment where we're trying to replicate conditions that were observed on mainnet. So if you can think, hey, would someone reasonably attempt to join mainnet with this hardware, then that's it's sort of an all-inclusive thing. Extremely performant hardware would be great because when things really start chugging along, then you're going to want that to provide sort of a backbone to the project. But yeah, I wouldn't be super worried about your specs. Again, keep in mind one of the things we're trying to replicate out of memory issues. So 4 gigabytes RAM. Whatever it is, it's all.
I guess then I will throw in 16 gigs of DDR4 with 2 Ryzen 9 3900Xs.
Sounds perfect.
That helps.
Yeah, definitely appreciated. Like, yeah, I think it's all helps.
Can you give a link?
Gotcha. So I know they pulled up the Reddit post earlier, which includes, if you go to the Monero subreddit or you go to Monero.town, there's there'd be some of the leading posts. There's a link to the GitHub repositories. I can post that in the private chat here if that's what you're referring to, just directly to the repository. And yeah, that'll do it.
Thanks.
Since we have Luke here, I'm going to see if he wants to chime in and say anything.
I just didn't want to interrupt y'all.
Oh, please go ahead.
Hi. I didn't realize there was an episode today, so I'm a bit out of the loop. What's going on?
Lots. Well, not a ton today, honestly.
Congratulations on breaking Darrow.
Let's get him to talk about Elias's paper. Let's see if we can get Elias to explain his, the clip notes, and see if we can get Luke to weigh in on that.
I think
I've
maybe. Are you Luke? Are you the same one who's on Matrix? Was called Kaya Nerve?
Yes.
All right.
So I'm at least familiar with an older version of the paper. I believe I saw something about it being updated. I don't want to disincentivize research, and I encourage everyone to work on what they believe in. I want to be clear about that. Personally, I don't believe the paper has yet to establish cross-chain interoperability, and I think that's one of the things that could really benefit it if it could either A, establish a cross-chain interoperability mechanism, or B, explicitly denote if that's to be left to higher level services, because either would be perfectly fine, but both of those create different security models and different evaluations. But I think my main issue with the paper is how miners need to maintain a copy of every single chain. And while there are benefits to the explicit chain structure, because that enables kind of, if you're a miner, you can add another PC within your local cluster to explicitly handle that chain. So it does explicitly delineate tasks, and because it explicitly delineates tasks, you can much more easily throw much more powerful hardware at it. But the fact that you do need the nodes miners rely on to solicit every blockchain and keep a copy of every blockchain and process every blockchain makes me personally think this does not actually improve the efficiency of the blockchain, nor does it improve scalability. It just makes the current nodes much more expensive and adds a new class of nodes, which are partial along that explicit delineation. And then there would still be the existing class of light wallets, which don't use a node at all and just entirely fetch transaction data from a remote node. And you can argue the benefits of that. I'm not here to say there are no benefits or it's not worthwhile. I will say my personal interest is not in new classes of nodes, which I feel like this paper largely accomplishes. Obviously, we have Elias here. If you think I got anything wrong, please correct me. I'm not trying to speak improperly about your work.
No, I'll admit that I came into this without much knowledge about the details about how things are implemented and where the actual bottlenecks are in practice. So I've been looking at this from a sort of principle point of view, where I saw that in principle it's a problem to only be able to add one block at a time, and I wanted to find a way where that could happen in parallel instead. So it's I've had this sort of more in principle approach to the whole thing, and I think that those like Luke who know much more about how things work in real life, then they might know that where are the bottlenecks in practice, which is not something that I know much about. So, but I'm really grateful for all your thoughts on it. So thanks a lot for that.
I'm happy to be helpful as I can, truly.
Again, I'm not really sure, Luke, what is your first thing against it? Like, for me, it's just like the simplest way to go to end chains. It's like you don't choose shit. You just make a ticket.
Except miners need to have every blockchain. I don't think you're realizing
but
that
that's
part.
the case for the single-stranded way. So what's the argument?
Right. So my argument is that we should move to end chains, and this paper does not move to end chains. It creates a new class of node with whatever security properties, which depends on the cross-chain model. Depending on the cross-chain model, it's going to have different security properties.
No,
but
there
for
is no
this new class of node,
there is no cross.
but that's what I'm saying.
The number of agents of working on a chain gets reduced. Therefore, the amount of forks that are happening on the single-stranded case gets reduced, and the entry on that is asynchronous. So you are reducing the amount of possible forks. Because if I start mining on a chain, one mother effer can start 30 seconds before me, and I don't know about that. So he will be successful on the ith chain. I will be unsuccessful on the ith chain. So the other thing is the spatial scaling. This has nothing to do with
I'm
spatial
so sorry.
scaling.
I had a connection issue. You dropped out for like the last 30 seconds. I'm so sorry about that.
So the thing is that I am mining on the ith chain. He is mining on the jth chain. So there is no conflict. Everything is good. So there is only an improvement on everything. So the amount of people that are mining on one chain enter in an asynchronous manner. So if I start mining on the ith chain, another mother effer might start mining on that chain 30 seconds earlier. So he has the benefit I don't know nothing about. He already submitted it. And then there are side confirmations, which is included in the ticket, which is the last hash of the chain that I be mining. So if I get a side confirmation, I might ask, oh, he has a side confirmation, so I want to know what that is about. So there are only benefits here. It's like a sand clock. There is the implicit thing of confirmations, which is mining on top of a block.
Slave-Blocker, du musst auch mal andere reden lassen.
And there's the side thing, that is a formal thing.
So under the current model, if we, like under the current Monero, if we were to move to this, Monero would be the blockchain one, and then we could define new blockchains. Those blockchains couldn't talk to each other. If they can't talk to each other, what's their existence, their nature, their purpose? So that's why you do need a cross-chain model. And this doesn't have a cross-chain model, but because of that, we can't talk about it as this homogeneous network. It's just a bunch of different networks that have some proof of work relation. And that alone isn't something I inherently like just want to leap for. It's not something I find incredibly notable. If you partner with a cross-chain model and say this is how we increase Monero transactions, that's potentially something I'm interested in. But this does not increase Monero transactions without reducing miners.
I guess I get what you're saying, that you have multiple coins, and that outperform, like, that's not interesting anymore. But you cannot keep it to one layer. You cannot do it in like every chain synchronizes in one layer, so they are asynchronous. So there is no benefit there.
You've seen the relay chain design, right?
There is, because of security.
Okay. One, I'll repeat again, you do have to have a node, if you're a miner, that runs a node for every single blockchain. Miners will have the computational burden of the entire network. This does not parallelize to n different chains and allow you to run a node for an individual chain if you're a miner. So that's why I'm not personally in favor of this. It does not actually parallelize into n different chains. It just creates a class of node that can focus on a subset of the network. And then if we are to shard the network, we can do it with one coin and one protocol. We don't have to have a bunch of different pseudo networks with a bunch of different coins and a bunch of different protocols. There are ways to use the same protocol and the same coin, such as with the relay chain design, which is basically you have one blockchain used for relaying data and settlement, and that has a minified view of all other chains. So yes, it is still a bottleneck. You are always going to have a bottleneck in any homogeneous network. But you can put so much data processing elsewhere that bottleneck becomes quite minimal. So personally, I'd rather focus on their designs such as that.
And as far as your cross-chain thing, Luke, that you just mentioned, Elias, I think it was Elias, was saying that, or somebody was saying that the wallets would actually look at have different outputs on each chain. So you might have an output on chain A and an output on chain B and an output on chain C. And when you went to pay somebody, that person would send you an address that would that when your wallet went to spend those outputs would compute which chain to put that output on to make that transaction. If I'm understanding that correctly.
But then you need a way to move outputs between chains, or you need a decentralized exchange to swap coins from one chain to coins on another chain.
The problem here is that you would have to do full membership proofs or ring signatures or membership proofs on n chains. That's the only problem here. Besides that, there is no problem. I do a transaction. I don't care what ith chain it is in. Like one additional problem is to go from the single-stranded case to the multi-case. But then you can partition it over time, and then you strand it. That's not a problem. But if you are mentioning one chain, I'm just saying that, okay, the anonymity set is, there cannot be reorgs, because then there will be conflicts in the transactions. That's why you need the end chain, one output per chain. You discriminate upon fungibility. But besides that, there is no problem. There are only advantages. There is no 51% attack. There is no 51% attack, and there are side confirmations. Like
so much of this is frustrating to me, and I'm fine leaving the conversation.
That's the only thing
I'm fine leaving the conversation if I'm personally going to be this frustrated, and that's not to blame you for me feeling frustrated, but the fact is this is a frustrating conversation for me right now, and if that's how it is, I'm going to bow out myself. If I am running a node for a single strand, then yes, I want to receive coins only on that strand. It's the one I'm running the node on. So I personally would care what strand I receive coins on.
No,
as for
you are
51% attack and so on.
Strands. You're going to keep the whole set of chains.
But in that case, I have to run a node for every single strand, and this does not increase throughput because I went from running one node for one blockchain to running 10 nodes for 10 blockchains. I am still running a node for every single part of the network. Also, this does not improve 51% attack resilience, at least under the original proposal. Under the original proposal, this fell short of 51% attack resilience. I believe in the brief update I saw about the version 3, it said it changed the proof of work on the ticket component into just a signature to help with that. But even if it did that, it would still only achieve 51% attack resilience. It would not improve that 51% number.
Yes, you're right.
Unless you want to argue it has less conflicts and therefore it's harder to invalidate honest contributions. Yet then you could look to existing works such as BlockDAGs, which also have reconciliation to increase the real world closeness to that 51% number. But the way this was proposed, it was proposed as a scaling solution. And in my opinion, this fundamentally is not a scaling solution. It's a new class of light node, which does make Monero more accessible. It just doesn't scale Monero. And then there's a lack of a cross-strand proposal. If I have coins on one strand and I need them on another, I do need some cross-chain movement, whether it be officially defined or via Sarai. So there's a lot of commentary here.
Luke, you are ignoring the fact that the bottleneck would be on the CPU power. If you ignore that, then we move it to the network.
If we have the Monero block limit at 300 kilobytes, and we make 10.
We would put the bottleneck on the CPU power because you would run N chains.
It would also be on bandwidth and storage.
Of course, yes.
Right. So my question is your only advocacy for this the lack of conflicts in the proof of work process, and that increases how practically close you get to 51% resilience?
That would be an Elias question.
Oh well, now for me this was.
I was actually
Yep.
No, I was asking it.
Well, the thing, as I see it, Luke, and I want to be diplomatic. I thank you for all your work. I'm a huge fan.
If Elias wants to chime in how they see the proposal.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say that from my perspective, this was about improving scaling, and I hear what Luke is saying, that he doesn't see that it achieves that, and I think the reason he sees it like that is that the bottleneck is something else than I was assuming from the beginning. So that has to do with you would need to look more closely into how things work and what are the actual bottlenecks to see that. And the bottleneck that I was addressing here is, I think it exists in principle, it exists, but it's very possible that there are other things limiting the performance in practice. And then Luke could be right that it doesn't help much. There's still there is the possibility of splitting up to several computers. Yep.
if you consider it about egalitarian mining and the reduction of conflicts and whatever throughput you can achieve with that, even if it's at worse efficiency, sure, this is a proposal towards that end. And I don't have issues with it. And if you want to claim it's worth it, and I don't mean you, Elias, I mean, if anyone wants to claim it's worth it, you're welcome to that opinion. I view this as a scaling proposal, and in my opinion, this doesn't contribute to scaling. It may contribute to throughput at the cost of some efficiency. It may make running partial Monero nodes more accessible if you only run on some strengths it in that light. That's kind of.
We lost you for the 30 seconds. It's the three-letter agencies.
All of my commentary on it, and I'm really sorry if I'm breaking up.
You're breaking up last minute.
There you are.
Please.
There you are.
Yep. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's me or StreamYard, but I was just saying, if this is about reducing proof of work conflicts and mining egalitarianism, I don't really have an issue with it. If it's proposed as a scaling solution, I just don't think it meets the criteria for a scaling solution.
Well, I would disagree in terms of spice.
Did I break up again?
In terms of spice, it doesn't improve shit. But in terms of time, of cost of computing, it does improve a lot. It does improve a lot, and it gives a lot of security.
Hey,
but
Luke,
please roast me.
I'm
thankful
appreciate
for
it a lot. Yeah, appreciate the feedback, Luke. Thank you for coming on. You know, we beat it. We beat that horse to death. So, you know, we are where we are. But thank you, Elias, for coming on and presenting it again. I think we got a really good, we really wrung that one out. You know, we have a much better understanding. And I started out at 0. So, yeah, it gives me an appreciation for the scalability of Monero. And just really, you know, I just love this community. It's great to hang out with you guys.
I'm having networking issues, so I'm going to go. But Elias, this actually was an interesting work, and I did appreciate the effort, and I am curious to see how you can evolve it. So I'm going to head out, but best of luck to Elias.
Bye. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out myself too. Yeah, it was really nice talking to all of you, and thanks, Elias, again for the work. It's like this is like the spirit I really like value in the Monero community. Like people like coming in asking, okay, maybe have we considered that feature, or maybe what about this solution? This is, I think this is one of the points that brings us forward and makes Monero what it is today. So thank you, everyone. And
wow, we got some guys coming back in. Good deal.
Okay. Hey.
So have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Wonderland.
Thank you, Mr. Wonderland.
Thanks, man.
So
all right,
guys. Underlying it all, though, like when it comes to the multi-chain solution and the relay solution and all of that, I just still find it fascinating, the idea of mechanisms that could be incorporated and refined in order to improve throughput. And, you know, I had brought up before, that was one of the things that Nano brought to the table, right? And I have never actually looked into the relay methodology. There's still a lot of people on YouTube like John Doe and UTXO, you know, they're saying there are other issues with scaling, and I mean, most of them I know that it's true that there are those issues with scaling. But the thing is like I look at it like whenever you're trying to solve problems like these, a lot of people, the frequent problem of trying to solve large issues like scaling is if you find a solution for one of the elements of scaling that is an issue, but it doesn't solve the other ones, then it's kind of like throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I hope these guys are listening. But my take is research into a ticketing methodology or parallel blocks is absolutely still worth it, because it may not solve scaling issues that you perceive right now, but there is no doubt that having parallel blocks is an option that we may want on the table, especially if it gets to the size of the number of transactions that we hope it does one day.
All right, before we talk about anything else, I'm probably going to close it out unless anyone has any major objections to that, because it is going
just
so
one
long.
I'm
just going to say that the next question is the next solution. Thanks so much.
I just had one thing to add to Elias, and if you're going to go back to the drawing board and improve upon, which I hope you're encouraged to do, that is more of a federated system where there's chains are brought together in higher level chains that interoperate with each other. I think the white paper could incorporate something like that, and I just don't think it's worth just dropping it. I agree with Alaskanon, and I want to encourage you to put your thinking cap on and think of that hierarchical, hub and spoke sort of structure, to where there's the low chains that that everybody connects to, and then there's chains that are higher, that are sort of interdomain chains that are interoperable with every other chain. So
no, you see, with prancing, we are all the same here. It's all the same. So we're all the same.
All right. I'm going to end the stream because I have to leave myself. But if you guys want to continue, you can, like, the admin. No admin has to be in this room. You guys can continue talking if you want to. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming on. And
appreciate you, Tux.
Yeah, appreciate all of you.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and ODYSEE, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter